Two minutes.
God, Gannett is just laying off so many people in Florida.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
$20 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you from the Pacific Northwest. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton on this Thursday. Thanks for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Don't know why I'm in the Pacific Northwest, but Seattle, top of the morning to you.
How are things at 3 a.m. Pacific time, David? Haven't done this in a while. It's been a while since you've had to make a road trip.
Man, oh man. So I woke up in the middle of the night, and I keep the hotel room dark. Dark, clear path, but dark. And so I checked the phone because the first night, Mark, I'm always a little worried that I'm going to oversleep the show.
You and me both.
Right. And so I checked the phone, and it says 12:52. And I'm in a coma, only I'm awake. And my senses are totally out of it, and my wires just go zzz.
What were you on Mount Kilimanjaro with David Sampson? What the hell?
Exactly. It's -7 Celsius. Yes. And I will say the room was 62 last night. It was chilly. It was nice. But for like 14 seconds, Mark, I'm like, oh my goodness, I overslept the show. All right, they did the show without me. Oh my, and then I realized, you Yahoo, you're in the Pacific Northwest. That's AM. Go back to bed. You still got another hour and 15 minutes. Ah.
Good to know you and I were both up around the same time.
Should
have sent you a quick text.
Yes, that's just what I need. 10 to 4 Eastern, top of the morning to you. So here's the deal as to why I'm here. So there's this preseason football thing. And every network has at least one game. Like Fox's game is Sunday, and they're going to, Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olsen are going to make their big debut. It's Sunday. And usually the network that has the Super Bowl likes to do their preseason game from the site of the Super Bowl. And Fox is the Super Bowl this year, and it's in Arizona. So that's why they're doing, I think it's Ravens and Cardinals. And I will say, Mark, Ravens, who have won 21 straight preseason games, you and I could care less about this preseason football. But don't you have to bet the Ravens?
You've got to run the streak, David. Ride the streak, baby. Come on.
Right. And so, all right, back to Seattle. So Monday Night Football is going to debut in Seattle this year. Denver, Russell Wilson, returning to the 12th man. And apparently he's going to get booed vociferously. Apparently they hate him now. He taped a message for Sue Bird, apparently, that ran at the arena for her last home game. And when it played, apparently nothing but boos from the 18,000 in attendance. So, yeah.
What have you done for me lately, huh?
Exactly. Oh, so you want to leave? Fine, you dog, you. So ABC, ESPN, they're like, listen, why don't we do a preseason game from Seattle, since that's where we're going to do our first broadcast from? Okay, that makes sense. Only here's the catch, Mark. See, the regular season game is going to be done by Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. The game tonight's going to be done by Steve Levy, Louis Riddick, and Laura Rutledge. Which begs the question, why are Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, and their entourage in Seattle? And apparently, as Allen Iverson once asked, it's for practice. We're here for practice. Not a game. Not a game. Practice.
I'm glad that you brought up Iverson there, because I listened to what you said there, Joe, Troy, and their entourage. You being in their entourage kind of qualifies that for a touch of third person.
Oh, come on. Really? Is that how? Put it this way. Poll question. All right. Is that going third person?
Joe, Troy, and their entourage, and David's part of the entourage. Did he not go third person there?
Yeah.
That's third person?
Yeah. I would think
I'm just describing I'm, a pimple on the back of life here. That's what I am. I'm
I got you. You're an entourage.
David, you're
Right.
either one of the dogs in the pack or not. All right, that's how I see it.
I love you being in an entourage. I loved the show Entourage. I like the idea of you being in an entourage. I want to be in an entourage.
So that's why we're here. Apparently,
For
we're going
practice.
to practice to get ready for a game in a little over 3 weeks' time. Right. Because Joe and Troy haven't done many games together.
Well, they are getting a whole new now director, producer, all that stuff's all brand new.
I know. Don't encourage them, okay? Don't encourage the 4-letter network here.
Like they're listening to me.
Or me. Right.
Well, the problem is, David, is that they can listen to you because sometimes you will let them know what it is you're thinking.
Okay. If I am going to go third person, it will be sometime early this afternoon, Seattle time, because 8 p.m. Eastern kickoff for the practice game, which is 5 o'clock late afternoon, Seattle time. So considering that I am just a member of the entourage and what we're doing doesn't really count, I figured normal times would not apply. Like normally, the talent of which I am not one, but the entourage has to show up in and around the time the talent does. And the talent usually arrives 3 hours, sometimes 2.5, but 3 hours before kickoff. So I'm thinking, well, okay, but it's practice. So it might show up a little later. I mean, remember, Mark, they've got a real broadcast they have to attend to. Millions of people are going to watch.
Right.
Mark, the entourage has to be at the stadium at 1 o'clock today. For a 5 o'clock kick for a game in which our contributions are not going to air. Apparently, they want us hey, we'll take care of you, and then we'll attend to the real broadcast, the real people that count. Yeah. So there you have it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You don't even have time to go watch them throw fish today. You're so busy.
I was hoping, don't laugh, I was hoping to catch up with John Forsland. All right, he's been so good to us over the years. I was hoping to buy him lunch. Instead, hell, I got to be at the stadium for lunch.
Well, you'll save a little money on the transaction. At least this way you come out on top with a complimentary media meal. You got plenty of time to go through the game notes, David.
Mark, you'd be very disappointed. Very disappointed. This crew doesn't pay attention to the game notes at all. At all.
I don't care whether they do or not. You've got time to go through them today. That's all I'm saying.
Whew, do I ever?
Maybe you'll discover that Seattle has at least a nugget in there that you can use.
In fact, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a Seahawks shirt, and I'm going to pretend that I'm a stadium worker, and I'm just going to go around suite to suite and go in and check in and say, hey, everything okay? Just want to make sure things are good. Okay. Oh, you guys need more tomatoes. I'll get right on that. Thanks. And then just ignore them and go and walk to the next suite. Just to, entertain myself.
Entertain yourself. No
Right.
doubt. No doubt. Miller and Moulton. Remember, you can always text the show 21,000 FSN radio if you have any ideas of what David needs to be doing between 1 and 5 o'clock today, Seattle time, while he gets ready for the preseason game.
Right. Practice.
You seem, for your energy that you're bringing to the show, it seems like it's a foil for what you're having to deal with later today.
Also, whether or not I have to be here has gone back and forth 4 different times. And 48 hours ago, I was told, hey, upon further review, you don't have to come to the game. I'm like, okay, here's the deal. I have scheduled things and rescheduled things and rescheduled things. Now I need to get to Seattle because that's how I'm getting to Jersey. So I even said to Troy,
oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Mark. I said to Troy 2 days ago, Troy, if you want, I'll stay back in the hotel room and party on ESPN's dime. But I need ESPN to fly me to my mom on Friday. It's her birthday.
So do you know whether or not you're officially working tonight? Are you on the clock? Are you getting paid, or is that still up in the air?
Mark, I have no idea. No idea. And neither do Joe's guys either. But we have to be here. And apparently we have to be at the stadium at 1, which is good because it's a dress rehearsal that starts at 5.
Part of me wants you to turn your phone on, call me, and let me just listen. Just put it back in your pocket so I can listen to what's going on. Because at some point, I know 2 of the 3. Obviously, I know you. I know one of Joe's guys I've met a couple of times. I know that there's some snark in him.
Oh, my goodness. He's from Philly. The
Right.
2 of us, I have no idea how me and Ed Svita is who you're referencing, and he's Joe's longtime stats guy. Very close. 20 years they've worked together. Yes, one of the 2 of us could get arrested today. Yes.
A lot of Philly and Jersey in one room with angst, and I don't know if that's a good idea in a dress rehearsal, but we'll find out one way or another. We will go, by the way, to Green Bay today and talk a little Packers. Actually, we'll go Green Bay via Milwaukee. Gabe Neitzel will join the show today. They had a meeting yesterday, David.
Did something happen? Because apparently nothing happened with the PGA Tour for 2 days. What a bunch of crap that was.
That's why we're not talking PGA Tour, but we are talking to Gabe Neitzel. They had a meeting. Aaron Rodgers called a meeting because they were not listening and running the right routes. We'll talk with him, and we'll talk with Brent Matineau in Jacksonville as well. We are Miller and Moulton. We thank you so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
All right, to everyone in the Twitch chat room, when I am on the road, the way we are set up, I cannot type out comments. So I'm going to stuff that pertains to me, I will answer as quickly as I can. Arch, I didn't know David was doing preseason. Neither did David. Paul, yes, I did get paid from the PGA. I got paid in July. but I got paid. I don't know if there was anything else. Yeah, Mongo, wasn't the David Sampson interview remarkable? That's got to make a best of. And not only that for Felipe, it's 2 segments.
I was telling the guys I was playing golf with about Sampson, and I said he's run 17 marathons. One guy went, "Why?"
Yeah. You know, it was the only thing we didn't ask him yesterday, and we were both thinking it like 4 different times. What in the world? I think it's like final training camp practice for the Jags today. It's like the last one at the high school that they've been working out in. Morning, Spitz. And for those that ask, the Fairmont Olympic Hotel in Seattle. Never been here. It's older. It's interesting. The rooms are nice. They're older, but I'm in kind of a suite, you know, in the bedroom's its own little room. Then you got the living area. Then you can loop around.
Are you walking distance from the stadium there?
Could be. Yes. Yeah, we could walk if we want to.
Now, did you have a rental car, or do you have to just find your
No,
way?
I got a rental. It's going to be interesting this year. Apparently, they don't like to give out rentals. I don't like to Uber. And it's nothing against Uber, but I like to be able to control when I'm going to the airport. And we've had a lot of, you know, we book Ubers and they get within a minute of us and then they cancel on us. It's funny, Mark. I've gone from the bottom of the totem pole in terms of the 3 of us, you know, Bill and Ed and me. And now I'm going to be at the top of the totem pole just because they're working Sundays. So they're going to be flying in maybe late Sunday night, but a lot of times we're going to be flying in on Monday mornings. So I'm the one that's got to grab the car, parking, credentials. Then apparently ESPN doesn't like to leave credentials at the front desk. I sent the old crew a text last night. Have I told you how much I miss you? But Paul, that has nothing to do with Uber. You know, like I have no problem, you know, taking an Uber. In fact, we used to take, before the pandemic, we took Ubers all the time on the road and I had no problem with it. But for whatever reason, once the pandemic started, like we never had an Uber driver cancel on us pre-pandemic. And during the pandemic, we had Uber drivers cancel on us all the time.
30 seconds.
We need a poll question.
Is David part of Joe Buck and Troy Aikman's entourage? Yes or no?
Whose entourage would you most like to be a part of?
Very funny. Very funny.
We're coming back.
I like it.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for being with us. I'm in Seattle. There's a preseason game tonight. Joe and Troy are here. They're practicing. So their support staff, their entourage, whatever you want to call us, we're here for practice. Not a game. Not a game. Practice. Mark and Felipe back in the cozy confines, which apparently the air's not on?
It's on now. This morning when we got here, it was uncomfortably warm for the first time ever. That's ended. It'll be a meat locker by 8:30.
Okay, good. Good. My hotel room's 62. You guys need some uncomfortableness as well.
You did that on your own, though. You can control that.
I know, but I was so tired when I got here that it was like the middle of the night when I realized, damn, we're hanging beef in here. Just how cold is it?
So I'm trying to figure out, since you're part of Joe and Troy's entourage, what entourage I'd most like to be a part of.
Is that our poll question?
I think so. Actor, musician, or athlete. Which entourage would you like to be a part of?
Ooh, I like it a lot.
Given the fact you went entourage in the first segment.
Well,
Got me thinking which entourage I'd like to be a part of. And, you could go rock musician, hip-hop musician, because it's a totally different entourage.
that is true. I think if you leave it musician, it will win. Because obviously, all the different fans of music, and you could, all vote for that one.
But if you've watched the show Entourage, hanging out with the actor, the longevity of that seems like that run could last you a lot longer.
So I'll vote musician. If that's our poll question, that's going to be my vote, just so you know. Miller and Moulton on this Thursday. Magic numbers, by the way, 9, 14, and 21. Huh? Week from Saturday? There will be college football. If it counts, that's up to you. It's called week 0. Doesn't seem as if it's got a lot to it. Think about the drinks that have 0 in them. Yeah. But 2 weeks today, week 1 of the college football season kicks off with Pitt, West Virginia, part of the 5-day extravaganza. And Bills-Rams, 3 weeks tonight, 21 days away to kick off the NFL season. Can I last selfish thing, I promise, in the show today?
I have no problems. I mean, you're part of an entourage, David. We have to grant you some certain certain things we have to grant you as a member of an entourage.
That was very well done. Very tongue-in-cheek by you. Outstanding. So we've all been in hotels, and we've all been in, different cities. And we know things are more expensive in major U.S. cities or major international cities than they are where most of us call home. But there's even a line that once you go over that line, you're like, oh, come on. This is excessive. This is just downright rude. So I realized there were no beverages in this hotel room last night of any kind.
No minibar?
No.
Ooh.
And there was one complimentary water.
Okay.
Well, Mark, you sit next, I drink 100 ounces of water during the show?
At least.
So I'm like, oh man, I got to get some beverages in here now before I go to bed, because I'll never get them at 2 a.m. So I said, listen, I call down and go, give me as much complimentary water as you can give me without getting fired. That's exactly how I phrased it. They brought me 6 16-ounce waters, by the way.
There you go. All right.
So that's outstanding.
So you're in good shape.
That'll get me to lunch.
Little tip for you, David, on that one. Sorry to interrupt. A little tip for you. When you
Mm-hmm.
see them refilling the water down there, if you happen to be walking the hallway and the maid's carts are out there with the water, just grab yourself 6, 7 at that time. Feel free to unload on the maid's cart to take your own water. It's complimentary.
Well, especially since nowadays, you can't get towels or, room service or anything like that. That literally takes an act of Congress to be able to get that. So you might as well take the water off their cart. Absolutely.
Exactly.
So Mark, I will definitely do that. And then I said, I'm staying away from the soda as much as I can, but I'm probably going to need one to get through every show. I'll probably need a jolt. And since I'm going to do 2 shows, why don't you get 2 sodas? So they say, well, that's not complimentary. We're going to have to charge you. And I go, well, it's 2 sodas. I think I can handle it. And so they hand me the waters. Great. Fantastic. And they go, here's and they hand me the bill. $20.
What?
$20.
Did you get 2 cases of Coke?
I was waiting for the chips and salsa. I was looking around. I literally did.
12-ounce sodas.
12-ounce. Exactly. Thank you. Cans, not even the plastic bottles, which could be 16 or 20 ounces. No. 2 12-ounce sodas.
Well, I put that together because I saw you sipping on the can of Diet Coke before the show. That I did a little investigating there, so I was able to pick that up, Charles Robinson Yahoo style.
Correct.
$20.
Thank you very much. So here's the breakdown, apparently. 7 per can. They added a 20% gratuity right onto the thing.
Right. That's standard room service to add the gratuity on.
Well, and I don't care. I mean, that's on $14. I mean, that's $2.80. Yeah.
Right.
And then apparently, then they tax, and I did notice, and the little beef, they taxed you not on the $14. They also taxed on the gratuity. Come on. That's rude. That's rude. And so whatever the 8-9% local hotel tax is, and this, that, and the other thing, 20, it was actually a little more than $20. It was like 20 and change. And the lady, I looked at her, I went, I travel a lot. This is the most obnoxious room service thing I've ever had. And she said, I'm sorry. And she seemed genuine too. She was not placated because I had already tipped her. All right, before I knew that,
that you already gave her a 20% tip initially. So she got double tip.
Yeah. She basically made a soda for delivering me 2 sodas.
Well, now she can afford one. In fact, they probably all went down to the room and all cracked a Diet Coke and said, this is on room 814.
It's so funny you say that. That's not that far off. I'm actually on the 8th floor. So
$20.
Yeah. So listen,
Diet Cokes.
So I'm asking, Mark, obviously, I can see the Twitch chat room. I can't respond to it, but I can see it. You obviously have the text line in front of you. I would just be curious throughout the show today, if anybody has hey, let me tell you about, this room service bill.
I don't have a room service story, but I do. When I was a sophomore in college, I traveled overseas for 6 weeks, and one of my friends' fathers kind of made sure we had some pretty special trips. And I was in Paris for a weekend. It was our last weekend in London. And the one thing that you don't get in Europe is ice. They're afraid of it for whatever reason. You can't get a cold drink anywhere. And we're at a restaurant in Paris, and they had these big, huge mugs filled with ice and Coca-Cola. It was the best soda I'd ever had in my life. It cost $5. And I looked at my buddy who was across from me, and this is 1988? 89. He looked at my buddy and said, this is delicious. Let's get another one. We ordered 2. So that's we spent $20 on 4 sodas.
Well, at least you got 4.
With inflation. And this was a big mug. So that's as close as I can come for obnoxious soda pricing. Miller and Moulton, the starting 5 coming up on the other side. Great show lined up for you. David in the Pacific Northwest, Felipe and I back in the cozy confines. The starting 5 is on the other side right here on the Florida Sports Network.
If you own 6 Southwest Florida Napa stores and were a big NASCAR fan, wouldn't you put the 2 together?
How about bringing Chase Elliott to Fort Myers?
Friday, August 26th, Chase Elliott will sign autographs at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive in Fort Myers beginning at 11 a.m.
The best way to get in line, stop by one of the 6 family-owned Napa Auto Parts stores. Napa Auto Parts, 1820 Boy Scout Road, 1220 Vizcaya Parkway in Cape Coral, 532 Pine Island Road in Fort Myers, 532 Pine Island Road in North Fort Myers, 4175 Palm Beach Boulevard in Fort Myers,
and 17284 San Carlos Boulevard on Fort Myers Beach.
And don't forget about the Napa location in Punta Gorda at 1810 Tamiami Trail. Sign up for your chance to meet and get an autograph with Chase Elliott.
Coming Friday, August 26th at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive starting at 11 a.m. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. How long after the show's done will you completely shut it down?
Well, there's no food in here, so I have to track down this Jody person, get all the credentials and parking pass, grab some food, and then I will be asleep before probably 11:30 noon your time, and I'll sleep 2 hours. So that's the goal. The goal is to get the stuff, eat, be asleep by 9 local, sleep 2 hours till 11, and then get to the press box by 1.
Well, good news, take another nap there until 5.
Listen, I may be a sarcastic. I may order a pizza just to bring some fun to the proceedings.
Be nice.
Oh, I will. I will. Yep. It's first impressions. Yep. They've certainly made theirs. So now it's up to Bill, Ed, and I to make sure that we don't make ours.
That's the truth. There's the goal. Always good when you know you've got goals.
So it's 40 years ago, your girlfriend, or now was this in a hotel or was it out? See, it doesn't count if it's a restaurant. I'm talking about a room service thing. A $12 espresso and a shot glass 40 years ago. That seems outrageous.
So is a $5 Coke.
Did they give you the whole can/bottle?
It was this fountain. It was in a big mug. It was delicious.
Okay.
$30 seconds.
Yeah, KW, I'm with you. I don't smoke and I don't drink coffee, and I just assume that coffee is cigarettes. That, that when you're addicted to smoking, that, because how expensive both are, but you just do it.
Coffee's not expensive.
We're coming back.
Well, not at home.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Did you go with that as our poll question, by the way?
Oh, the entourage?
The favorite entourage?
I can get that up. I'm all for it. Which entourage would you want to be a part of?
Yeah, I like your question. It's got personality to it. It's got charisma.
Thank you, Mr. Lee Roth.
He had to cancel his last 4 or 6 shows. He was going to end his career with a string of shows in Vegas at the end of last year. And I think his last show was either going to be New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. And something happened to him with his voice and he canceled them. I don't think he's rescheduled them.
David, there's been so many shows. It's hard to keep track of what's canceled. And I just missed a little, tour was coming through Florida and they got sick and they canceled their 3 Florida shows and they're not rescheduling them. And it's like, damn, I want to go to the show. I'm kind of got that itch, need it scratched, David. I need to get to a concert. And when they keep getting canceled, it's like, damn.
I hear you. Gabe Neitzel coming up at the top of the hour. He does sports in Milwaukee. We'll talk a little Packers. I don't know. We may slide in some Brewers, but we'll talk plenty of Packers. And the Clutch Vodka play of the day coming up about 40 minutes from now. Right now, it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
All right. I know you're working on the poll question, Mark, but I need you to pay attention.
All right, I'm in.
Yesterday, we found out the difference between, the College Football Playoff Board of Managers and the College Football Playoff Management Committee. See, apparently the Management Committee are the 10 conference commissioners and the Notre Dame athletic director, Jack Swarbrick. All right. That's not who met yesterday. Remember, that's the committee. So think commissioners committee. All right. The College Football Playoff Board of Managers, think more hoity-toity, a board. And that is a university president representing one per the major football conferences, and then Notre Dame president, Reverend John Jenkins. That's the Board of Managers. During the Board of Managers meeting yesterday, those 11 people, and they're not gentlemen, there were a couple of female presidents in the room, but those 11 hoity-toity folk actually began discussing college football separate from the NCAA. That's right. It weren't the conference commissioners and an AD who were talking about blowing life and the pursuit of happiness up as we know it. It was actually the academic folk that said, we're missing out on a lot of money. We probably should just take control of this sport ourselves, set the rules and enforce the rules. And come to think of it, why are we waiting until the current playoff deal is over before we start the new playoff? Why do we have to do 4 more years of just 4 teams? Why can't we put a 12-team playoff together sooner? So that was some meeting. This was not the PGA Tour meeting for 2 days. They didn't do squat. These hoity-toity board of managers, Mark, they want to get to work.
Well, they figured out they move football away. That's a bunch of scholarships they don't have to give to the women's sports. There's a lot of advantages to this, David.
Could very well be. And it's good to know that what is it that they're interested in that seemingly everyone else is making their decisions about?
Money.
Thank you very much.
Money.
Right.
That's what it's all about.
Yes, it is, even with the university presidents and the good Reverend John
JJ.
Jenkins. Right.
JJ to his close friends.
Now, remember, he is at a Catholic school, and we Catholics do worry about the money. I can
No
say
more
that.
bingo at Notre Dame now.
Got that right. Got that right. So, by the way, the one thing that I also found interesting is that they were talking 12. You know how when the management committee, they were talking 16. The board of managers were talking 12. So we'll see. Our guess is if there's more money in 16, what do you think it'll be?
16.
Going to go out on a limb there. Speaking of money, LeBron signed a 2-year max extension. So he plays this year under his current deal, and then 2 more with the Lakers. He can be traded. He has a 15% trade kicker in the contract. So LeBron's going to get $97.1 million for those 2 years. So he's making around 48.5. So think about a 15% trade kicker. That's kind of like room service in Seattle. All of a sudden you look down, they've added the gratuity to it. You're making 48.5. They had 15% of that. All of a sudden you're making 56. And we know why he can be traded, because if the Lakers don't get their hands on Bronny, LeBron's just going to look at him and go, well, you need to trade me there because I ain't staying. By the way, NBA's opening night, Felipe, is 2 months from tonight. That's for you. All right.
Ooh, some magic numbers?
Yeah. So
No.
You can in your head.
As long as they can stay in your head.
How about
Exactly.
Orlando magic numbers?
No.
We just put an
No.
Orlando in front of it. No.
No. Once again,
Oh.
Felipe, in your head, you can do a magic number. 2 months from tonight, the NBA season will begin October 18th. One note in the schedule, the Spurs and the Heat are going to play in Mexico City on December 17th. First time that the NBA has gone back to Mexico since the pandemic. NFL, speaking of money, Chargers safety Derwin James became the highest paid safety, making a little over $19 a year. He signed a 4-year, $76.4 million extension, so it doesn't kick in right away. Joe Burrow disclosed, Mark, did you see this? That, he didn't just have appendicitis. His appendix ruptured, and that's why he went in for surgery on July 26th. He's working his way back. They think he'll be ready for the opener. The odds of us seeing him between now and then, very small. Very small. Some serious business was done by the Pro Football Hall of Fame voters yesterday. They considered the senior finalists. There were 12 for potentially at most 3 spots. 12 got reduced first to 6. The final 6 were Randy Gradishar, Bob Kuchenberg, Sterling Sharp, Ken Riley, Chuck Howley, and Joe Klecko. Riley, Howley, and Klecko are the finalists. They made it through. You need 80% of the vote from the voters in January. If you're Ken Riley, who passed 2 years ago, tied for 5th on the all-time interceptions list, by the way, with 60. Same number of interceptions as Charles Woodson. And think about when he played versus the game now. Chuck Howley, only one to win MVP of a Super Bowl on the losing team. He had 3 interceptions and a fumble recovery in his 2 Super Bowls. And Joe Klecko, who made the Pro Bowl at 3 different defensive line positions. Those left out, Mark: Ken Anderson, the aforementioned Gradishar, Kuchenberg, and Sterling Sharp, Tommy Nobis, Everson Walls, all not making various cuts. Baseball. You know, the Rays had 2 big leads on the Yankees yesterday. 4-0 in the 6th. 4-0 in the 6th. And then, after it goes extra innings, they have a 7-4 lead in the bottom of the 10th. 8 pitches later, it's over. Josh Donaldson with a walk-off slam. 8-7 Yankees. Maybe that gets them off the schneid.
I think that's a monster win for the Yankees. I really do.
Think about it. They had scored 9 runs in their last 7 games. They scored 8 in the final 5 innings last night. Jays with a win, 6-1 over the Orioles. Toronto's now tied with Tampa Bay for the 5 seed, if you will. So one's 5, one's 6. Seattle right now is the 4, ladies and gentlemen. They finished off a sweep of the Angels 11-7. Hey, Ohtani followed up his 3-hit performance with 4 hits last night, including a homer and a triple. He was a double shy of the cycle. I don't know. You may want to acquire him in the offseason as he enters the final year of his contract. Red Sox, Mark, they're back at 500. They're just 4 out. 8-3 over the Pirates. Cleveland, did you see this? So I forget what inning it was, but the first 2 guys strike out. The third guy strikes out, but the catcher doesn't hold on to it. Runner gets on base. They score 6 runs after that, and then the final out of the inning is a strikeout. So the Tigers strike out 4 Indians in an inning and give up 6 runs.
That's Tiger baseball this year, David. That right there, in a nutshell, is Detroit Tiger baseball. Oh, my goodness.
Guardians stay in first by a game over the Twins, who swept the Royals 4-0. White Sox fall 2 back. Houston holds them off on this night 3-2. Crazy game in Atlanta. Mets were up 6-1. Braves hit a slam, make it 6-5. Mets bring in their closer an inning early. Then Vogelback with a bases clearing double. It's 9-5. Buck Showalter says, well, I don't need my closer for the 9th. Goes into his bullpen. Trevor May gives up 2 runs, and Acuna is the tying run at the plate, and he flies out to the wall to end the game. Braves' 8-game winning streak snapped. Mets win at 9-7. Their lead's back up to 4.5, 5 in the loss column. Mets hit 4 homers in the win. Reds shut out the Phillies 1-0. Third time in 5 days, Mark. The Phillies have been shut out. You think they need Bryce Harper to come back? Third time in 5 days they've been shut out. Cardinals 5-1 over Colorado. That's a sweep. And their lead's now 3 in the Central because Milwaukee lost to the Dodgers again 2-1. Listen, we in Florida are giving Alcantara the Cy Young. Tony Gonsolin's 15-1 with a 2.12 ERA on the best team in baseball. He may get a few votes. And by a few, I mean a lot. Arizona beat the Giants 3-2. Giants are 6 out of the final playoff spot. Cubs beat the Nats. Padres over the Marlins. You guys said there'd be less than 10,000 people at the game. 10-3 San Diego in front of 72-73.
I told you under 8 was my number.
The A's beat the Rangers 7-2, but before the game, the owner of the Rangers fired the guy running the show, John Daniels. He's been there 17 years, and the owner said, well, we've been lousy for the last 6, so he had to go. All righty then.
Well, you fire the manager. It was the GM that signed all the players. You got a clean house. Good for the owner.
BMW gets underway today. Greg Norman yesterday publicly lobbied the World Golf Ranking folks to start giving points to their event. He said, in every fair and objective standard, we should get World Golf Ranking points. He's right. They have the second best field in golf. They play 18 less holes, so give them 3/4 of the points, right? I mean, that seems like a fair compromise, right?
It does. This seems really easy. It's better than the DP World Tour.
Oh, my goodness, by far.
Not close.
So, give them 3/4 of the points or 2/3 of the points. I don't know, but they deserve points. Dickie V announced he's cancer-free. Hot damn. And reportedly, the Fort Myers tip-off, not this year, but next, is going to have Virginia, Wisconsin, West Virginia, and SMU in it. That's a pretty salty little college basketball tournament. And at 8 minutes before the hour, that was
the starting five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So we've got the poll question up, David.
I like it.
Since you are part of the Monday Night Football entourage.
Yes, I am.
Which entourage would you most want to be a part of? Musician, actor, athlete. Right now, early voting, actor winning.
That's a great poll question.
I'm voting musician.
Me too.
Yeah.
For every reason imaginable.
I mean, if you can get a spot on that tour bus,
Hell, I don't think it's bad being on the bus behind the tour bus.
No.
Is my wife listening?
If she was, she's not anymore.
Well, I'll let you know during the break on Twitch if I get a text.
We will head to Milwaukee and talk with Gabe Neitzel about what happened yesterday with the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. That's next. Miller and Moulton, we thank you for listening. Where else? Right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hip, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, David.
Is he gone?
No, he's looking. He's just staring at the computer without headsets on. David, do you have? Can you check for me? I'm just looking. Dave Druder or whatever his name is in West Palms on Twitter right now.
Yeah.
I'm popping him a little note. But do you remember what was it? The mornings went 18 plus from a 1 to a 4.7 in this market.
Below a 1 to a 4.7 and a 3.9, our last two books. And think about when those books were. Those are non-football books. He gave us the BS generic, the people that run us, they don't do local, even though I think he's got a local afternoon show. Morning, Dandy.
David, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
All right, good.
So you learn how to have a real.
Which posse is best?
It's actually a really good question. Well done,
Yeah.
Mark.
Well, I mean,
Because if you
you
go-
get all the credit for it, you're the only one that's with an entourage.
Yeah, I just said the word. You came up with the question.
Because if you go movie star, you're essentially living the life of Entourage.
Yes.
And if you go
Yeah,
music star, I mean,
right.
about that, the tour bus. And then if you go athlete, it's like, okay,
Exactly. No,
I've-
everyone.
yeah, everyone is
Mhm.
awesome. You're probably traveling the most with musician.
Okay, Adam, $8 for the can of Coors Light. So 2 Coors Lights were $16. All right. 2 Diet Cokes were 20. And you're out in an airport.
Can you tell me a position group? Tell me anywhere that you think, and I'm going to ask Gabe this, where the Packers got better from last year to this year.
That's a great question.
I'm being serious here.
Hey, don't sleep on Aaron Rodgers.
No,
though.
I'm not. I'm picking them to win the division.
The only thing I'll say is that in theory, if Jones and Dillon are both healthy,
But their O-line's not better.
well, no, it's not. And
Their receivers aren't better.
they're maybe argue their secondary.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's because he was talking on 2 mics, Jake.
Oh, let's make a phone call. Hold on.
I mean, listen, Mark, I forget who it is who's picking the Vikings to win the division, which I think's going a little far, but I think the Green Bay is going to go from 13 to 11 wins.
$10 seconds. Calling him now.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Thursday when we are 9 days away from week 0. if you believe that kicks off the college football season. 14 days away, 2 weeks tonight, from Pitt and West Virginia kicking off the college season. And 3 weeks tonight, 21 days away, Bills and Rams getting the 2022 NFL season off the ground. Miller and Moulton on this Thursday, kicking many a thing around, and it's our pleasure to welcome back to the show Gabe Neitzel from ESPN Radio in Milwaukee, also part of the Packers Radio Network. You can follow Gabe on Twitter, the letter G Neitzel, Neitzel, G Neitzel 16. Gabe, it's David and Mark. Top of the morning to you. How are you?
I'm doing great, boys. How are you?
Well, we are doing fine.
Gabe, as I know the big meeting yesterday, and they got things done with the receivers, but I have a more just generic question on the Packers. When you look at this team last year to this year, where are they better than they were a year ago?
I think they're going to be better defensively, and I think you're seeing that with the way they're being talked about nationally. I know earlier this offseason, the Times had them ranked as the second best defense, and a lot of that comes from, I think, what they did against the 49ers in the playoff games they lost at home. But Packers defense, especially running, preventing the run, had struggles. Christmas Day gave up over 200 yards to the Cleveland Browns. So they had some issues there. They go out, get Devontae Wyatt. Jaron Reed was their one lone kind of free agent signing. Jair Alexander is healthy, so the secondary is deeper. And I think that's where the Packers are, especially early in the season, going to have to try to win some games. They're going to have to do it on the defensive side of the football.
Gabe, I'm one of those that when I see one of the leaders of a team speak up, doesn't matter the sport, as a fan and a member of the media, I think it's a good thing. I love what Aaron Rodgers has done in the last 36 hours. How's it been received?
Well, it seems like it was received by the team pretty well. This is something that we kind of, as fans and media members, knew was going to eventually be coming, because Rodgers does have that reputation of holding his receivers to an incredibly high standard, to the point where, during the off-season training, the off-season team workouts and the mandatory minicamp, that one of his best friends on the team, Randall Cobb, declared Aaron Rodgers softer than he's been in the past, and softer when back in 2011 when Randall Cobb was a rookie. So this is something I think we all are expecting coming, because the receiving core is so incredibly inexperienced, and experienced with Aaron Rodgers. Sammy Watkins has experience his first year in Green Bay. So I think he kind of took early in camp the approach of, okay, I'm going to try to build these guys up, and he really talked up Romeo Dobbs, who's their fourth round draft, Juwan Winfrey, who's a holdover from last year, and Danny Davis, who's an undrafted guy out of the University of Wisconsin. And with the regular season starting a little over 3 weeks for the Packers, and officially for the NFL 3 weeks from today, I think Rodgers, especially with these the joint practices that they've had the last 2 days with the New Orleans Saints, I think he realized there's a limit of urgency, so he needed to stress that urgency to his receiving core. So I think, we were expecting it, and it seemed like it was really well received after Tuesday's practice, because Wednesday's practice, the wide receivers kind of stepped up and made some plays.
And it sounds like the receivers, all to a man, had no problem with the criticism and took a little onus on this themselves, which it's one thing for Rodgers to complain, but all the things I saw coming out of it were the receivers seemed to be as fine with the meeting as Rodgers was.
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of the things that they decided they wanted to, after Rodgers said in media on Tuesday, they decided to have a meeting before practice on Wednesday, go over some film so they can deeply understand what Aaron Rodgers is looking at, what Aaron Rodgers sees. And, that's one of the big things that's going to be missing for the Packers this upcoming season. There was one guy who always saw the way things Aaron Rodgers saw them, and that was Devontae Adams. They continued to look to know how they were going to adjust a route, and that obviously worked really well for both of them. Rodgers winning the MVP the last 2 seasons, Devontae Adams going out and getting the big contract that he did, albeit not with the Packers after they traded him to the Las Vegas Raiders. So, yeah, I think that the receivers went, yeah, we do need to be better, and they're taking the necessary steps to try to earn that trust for Aaron Rodgers, because, as I mentioned, we're 3 weeks away from the regular season. Time is running out in order to earn that trust.
Gabe Neitzel, part of Mornings on ESPN Radio in Milwaukee, also part of the Packers Radio Network. Follow Gabe on Twitter, the letter G Neitzel, Neitzel 16, G Neitzel 16. One of those receivers grew up in Florida, Sammy Watkins. When healthy, he's a weapon. How's he looking?
So he's had a relatively quiet camp to the point where, because of the way his contract is structured and the way that some of the younger receivers were being talked about early in camp, the thought was, well, the way that, maybe they don't keep Sammy Watkins. But his spot on the roster to me is completely safe, because he was one of the players who did not suit up, did not play with a bunch of the other veterans in the first preseason game. I wouldn't expect to see a lot of Sammy Watkins in the preseason, therefore indicating that he is safe on the roster. And he's been starting to kind of be noticed a little bit more. Aaron Rodgers, after Tuesday's practice, while he did take some wide receivers to task, said he thought it was Sammy Watkins' best day in practice. So I think Sammy's starting to come into his own, starting to understand Aaron Rodgers a little bit more. He's going to be one of their top 3 receivers. So I think he's going to be somebody they really count on this upcoming season. And the big caveat there is he needs to stay healthy. The same thing goes for Randall Cobb. I think they're going to be playing opportunities for Sammy Watkins in this Packers offense.
And we don't talk about it much. We need to, because it's the biggest part to me of the team. The offensive line last year, I don't think it's as good as it was a year ago. How's their depth on the O-line? Rodgers keeps talking about the receivers, but how are the guys blocking in front of him, Gabe?
Yeah, that's the kind of concern that I have with this team right now. It's the combination of inexperienced wide receivers. So maybe Aaron Rodgers needs a little bit more time for those guys to get open. But I don't know if the offensive line is going to be able to do that early in the season. Elton Jenkins is a Pro Bowl offensive lineman. He can play a number of different spots. Ultimately, I think the Packers want him to play right tackle, and that's where he's been working since he came off PUP, but he tore his ACL about halfway through last year, and he's working his way back. David Bakhtiari is still on the physically unable to perform list, despite having that ACL surgery and despite tearing it. On New Year's Eve of 2020, it's been over 18 months since the surgery. He's had 3 different ones. He's still working his way back. So the Packers are trying a number of different offensive line combinations, trying to find out who week 1 in Minnesota, tough place to play, divisional opponent, is going to be along that offensive line. I think they know Josh Myers is going to be their center. John Runyon Jr., who has some experience, even though he's still a young player, is going to be their left guard. Everything else seems to be up for grabs, and there have been inconsistencies there. So this offense, I think, is going to get off to a slow start this season because of the combination of those two things. If one of them was stronger, had a strong line, okay, we can get the ball out, because we don't have enough time with the offensive line, get the ball out, get into the receiver's hands. The inverse, okay, we've got inexperienced receivers, but our offensive line is good. We can still protect Aaron. I think there are going to be some issues with both of those early in the season, and there are going to be some really big growing pains for this Packers offense, despite having the 4-time MVP and the 2-time reigning MVP at quarterback.
Gabe, 2 more questions. 1 Packers, 1 Brewers. Final one about Green Bay. I'm thinking the running backs catch 90 to 100 passes this year, that the passing game is shorter, particularly early, to protect the offensive line. Do you see that?
I don't see it, but I'll tell you who agrees with you, Aaron Rodgers. He said that earlier this week, that he sees a scenario where both A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones end up with 50 receptions. Aaron Jones has been there the last couple of years, 47, 49, each of the last 2 years, respectively, in terms of receptions for him. He's shown that he can be a big-time playmaker catching the ball out of the backfield. He had 9 catches in the playoff game last year. It was very obvious that the Packers wanted to get him the football. And those are their 2 best playmakers offensively. They're the most proven playmakers I think they have. So maybe I'm just not being creative enough with how I think the Packers are going to get A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones the ball out of the backfield. But it certainly seems in the realm of possibility that, hey, we need our best 11 players on the field. We're going to have some 2-back features with those guys on the field. We're going to throw it to them, we're going to hand it to them, and really feature those 2 guys in the offense. And that may be the way they go, especially early in the season as the young receivers continue to develop.
And the final one about the Brewers is the feeling that, they've needed a bat for a couple years now, and it didn't have to be a huge one. It could have been like, what the Braves did last year. Just, go out, get some solid players like the Mets did this year, a Vogelback, a Ruff. Is the feeling that the Brewers just don't have enough offense and missed an opportunity at the deadline?
Yeah, I think that is definitely the feeling. And the way that their president of baseball operations, David Stearns, and then even Mark Tanasa, who was in town for a celebration of the 1982 Brewers team that went to a World Series, the way they talked after the deadline, it seemed like they were desperately trying to get that bat. And maybe because some of those bats, didn't ultimately get moved, they were shut out of that offensive weapon that they needed. There were whispers about Andrew Benintendi, who went a little bit earlier before the deadline to the Yankees. I feel like the Brewers were really interested in adding him to their roster, and they're kind of stuck with what they have now, and it's a very home run dependent lineup. A lot of strikeouts in that lineup as well, and they're just in order to make the postseason and stay in the Cardinals, they're going to have to do with their pitching, and then maybe take some of the money that is coming off their books. Lorenzo Cain started the year before they DFA'd him. That money is coming. $16 million that would have estimated had to have given Josh Hader in an arbitration case. Maybe combine that and try to go get yourself a free agent back this offseason, because that's the one thing certainly holding this Brewers team back is their lack of consistency on offense.
Gabe, thanks for making time for us, particularly since you got to go into work. Have a great show, and hopefully we can talk down the road.
Yeah, sounds good. Anytime, guys. Gabe
Neitzel, mornings on ESPN Radio in Milwaukee, part of the Packers Radio Network. Follow him on Twitter, the letter G Neitzel, which is Neitzel. G Neitzel 16 is how you follow Gabe Neitzel.
If they were in a competitive division, I think the Packers could be not in trouble, but have a lot more difficulty. The Bears are so bad. The Lions are what they are. I don't know if the Vikings have enough to catch them.
Well, opening day, if you're going to get them early. Even last year, Green Bay, sometimes the Packers start like the Patriots do, Mark. Bill Belichick's not a secret, in which he still is working on things the first 3-4 games of the year. The Packers have been 1-2 before and then ripped off 10-11 in a row.
Right.
So I think if you're going to get Green Bay, get them early with no Bakhtiari and a shaky offensive line.
Miller and Moulton. When we come back, it's our Clutch Vodka play of the day. That's Clutch with a K, David.
Nice.
Miller and Moulton, we thank you for listening. Back with more on the other side, right here on the Florida Sports Network.
If you own 6 Southwest Florida Napa stores and were a big NASCAR fan, wouldn't you put the two together?
How about bringing Chase Elliott to Fort Myers?
Friday, August 26th, Chase Elliott will sign autographs at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive in Fort Myers beginning at 11 a.m.
The best way to get in line, stop by one of the 6 family-owned Napa Auto Parts stores. Napa Auto Parts, 1820 Boy Scout Road, 1220 Vizcaya Parkway in Cape Coral, 532 Pine Island Road in Fort Myers, 532 Pine Island Road in North Fort Myers, 4175 Palm Beach Boulevard in Fort Myers, and 17284 San Carlos Boulevard on Fort Myers Beach.
And don't forget about the Napa location in Punta Gorda at 1810 Tamiami Trail. Sign up for your chance to meet and get an autograph with Chase Elliott.
Coming Friday, August 26th at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive starting at 11 a.m.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I love how the NFL came out and said that the whole hallucinogenic thing that Rodgers took is not a violation.
Yep.
Could be because he's white.
I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think it has to do with his franchise quarterback, and they didn't test him.
He is Aaron Rodgers also. True.
I will say the NFL, what was it, 2 years ago? Like right around the time the pandemic started, the NFL basically said a couple of years ago, "Yeah, we ain't testing for weed anymore."
Oh, I remember that. I mean, you know, they
I think
finally
it was
realized-
right around. I think it was right around the time of the new CBA negotiations.
I'm pretty sure, like maybe 80% of the NFL could probably medically be prescribed marijuana as well.
Well,
100%.
I was
Yeah.
just 100%.
I mean,
yeah.
First off, they had medical marijuana cards out like chiclets.
True.
But yes.
but also there is some medical proof it actually helps with concussions, and like it, there have been some former players who have advocated for what they did when they played, but also how it really helped. That you can't play football and not medicate yourself at some point.
Mark, you can say your back is hurting and probably go get one.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They tell you when you get a medical marijuana card how to pass the test. They tell you what you need to do.
Nice.
Well, Hops, that's what I think it was Mathis. That's what Mathis claimed.
Mark, how long has weed been recreationally legal in Michigan?
Not very.
Not very long. I got the audio, by the way.
Good. We actually have audio for this today.
Hey. Kept yesterday so secretive. I was like,
Is it John Sterling?
is that the Yankees announcer?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It is far as deep.
It is high. It is far. Even though it barely made
That
the
one
short
is-
porch.
Is it high? Is it far? Is that how you,
See ya.
Oh, that's Michael K. That's
Michael
TV.
K. That's
Oh.
we have the TV one, so it's Michael K.
Okay,
Ooh.
gotcha.
That's
But-
fine.
I'll look for the radio ones.
No, because we're doing it right.
No, that's fine.
Doesn't matter.
10 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you, Miller and Moulton. Coming at you on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I'm in Seattle. There's preseason football tonight. Seahawks and Bears projected to be, two of the three worst teams, two of the four worst teams in the NFC, both projected to be last place teams in their respective divisions by just about everybody.
Quite a
And,
game you got for a rehearsal there.
Yeah. It'll be Steve Levy, Lewis Riddick, Laura Rutledge on the call. So if you ask, why am I here? That's a dadgum good question.
Practice, David. Practice.
That's what I'm told, Felipe. That's
Yeah,
what
lots
I'm
of new
told.
people to meet, a new team, new broadcast team. I
Yep.
think it's very important for this to happen. I'm glad that they had you out there.
Not a game. Not a game. Practice.
Practice. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman are practicing. because their opener is in 3.5 weeks, also in Seattle. So it's good to get the lay of the land.
And then is Levy doing when's the double Monday nighter?
Are
they doing the Buffalo Tennessee game?
Yes, and Joe and Troy are doing the Minnesota Philadelphia game.
Right. The two teams,
the two first place teams. Right, the two first place teams from a year ago.
Right. One that's picked to go to the Super Bowl by just about everybody.
Right. The B team gets them. The A team gets the Vikings and the Eagles. Right.
What in the wide world of sports?
I think it's because the Bills Titans are going to be on the 4-letter network.
No, I understand that.
Right. So in theory, the 3-letter network, ABC, will get more viewership than the 4-letter network will. It's that whole network versus cable thing.
Totally understand that. I'm just basing this on the decisions to put what game on what network, I guess, is where my question
I'm not sure that the networks had a choice there. That might have just been given to them by the league and told, here you go. You want 2 games on one day? Here you go.
Although the game you're doing, because I'm not as high on Tennessee as you are. And that might be a Mark Miller problem. I may be dead wrong when it's all said and done there. I just don't have a lot of faith in this year's Tennessee team for the obvious reasons.
Well, losing Brown's a big loss, and many are worried, including myself, that they may have a bit of a hangover, that last year was their golden opportunity. They were the 1 seed, and it was their big opportunity to get to the Super Bowl, and their window may have closed in amongst the 4 turnover loss to the Bengals.
And something you said a while back in the last couple of weeks, I can't pin you down to a day, David. We say a lot of things on this show, but you made the comment about first-year NFL coaches that, there's always one of them that does pretty well. We give you the track record on how first-year coaches do. Well, who do first-year coaches coach for the most part? Bad football teams. And the Vikings, I think, are in an interesting situation, and there's a lot of positivity coming around that offense right now of what they bring. So out of those games, because I'm fascinated with what the Eagles are going to bring to the table, and I'm intrigued by the Vikings this year, I like that game better for whatever reason.
And for those questioning what I said, hey, Tennessee was the 1 seed last year. They thought they were going to the Super Bowl because, remember, they were getting Derrick Henry back for the playoffs. And even though he certainly wasn't 100% against the Bengals, the expectation was, hey, they could beat the Bengals, and they were going to face the winner of Buffalo, Kansas City, and they had beaten both of them in Nashville, which was where they were going to play one of them. So it looked like, even though none of us thought they were the best team in the AFC, the fact of the matter was they were the one. So that was kind of shaping up. It could have been their year, but obviously it wasn't. I still like them over the Colts, Mark, until the Colts can prove they can win the South. They haven't won it in 8 years. Until they can prove that they're better than the Titans, I'm picking the Titans.
Well, you know what one of them will have to be, David? Clutch. With a C, not clutch with a K like Clutch Vodka. And it's time now for our Clutch Vodka play of the day. And it's in Florida, a bit of a depressing play of the day because the Rays had it. They had it right there.
Twice.
For sure.
4-0 in the 6th, 7-4, bottom of 10.
High fly ball, deep right, going back on Rosarena. See ya! A walk-off grand slam for Josh Donaldson. And the Yankees pull victory from the jaws of defeat. What a big win for the New York Yankees.
Yes, it was. And tough to hear for Rays fans, but that's our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Clutch Vodka coming to a Total Wine near you very quickly. They've got a deal with the NFL, some very cool commemorative bottles. We will keep you posted when they are for sale in stores. It is all happening very soon. Clutch Vodka, check them out at clutchspirits.com.
Mark, the Rays, if they had held on to the 7-4 10th inning lead, which, by the way, disappeared in 8 pitches. You know, you start with Judge, who made the final out of the 9th. He's on second. There was a single, a walk, and the second pitch to Donaldson is out of the park. 8 pitches, 4 runs. That's it. No outs. It's over. I mean, it happened fast. But, Mark, if the Rays go into the Bronx and sweep the Yankees, which they were 3 outs away from doing, they would have been 8 back. 8 back. And now you start talking about all-time collapses. Now you start talking about 1978 in reverse if you're a Yankees fan. That would have been 12 out of 14 losses last night is what they were staring in the face there. And Donaldson was in a 2-for-27 slump.
Well, their whole team batting-wise is in a slump, with the exception of Judge, who they don't pitch to anymore.
Why should they?
Because no one else can hit the baseball. So Judge is getting Bonds treatment right now. It's outside curveball. He's getting 1 or 2 pitches to swing at a game.
Mark, they would have been 8 back, 7 in the loss column, entering the bottom of the 10th yesterday. You could circle that one. That could be what can get the Yankees to the finish line without many questions being asked. They'll be the 2 seed, and I'll argue it again. I think you're better off in both leagues being the 2 to get to the LCS. Obviously, it's an advantage being the 1 if you get to the LCS because you do have home field advantage. I don't know how that can't help. But I think it's easier to get to the LCS going through the Central Division champions than it is going through the best wild card team, which is what the top seeds, the Dodgers and the Astros, are going to have to go through. I mean, the Dodgers are going to have to play the Braves right now. Yeah, I mean, Cardinals or Braves, who would you rather play?
It's not close. One's the defending World Series champ.
Right. And I understand that the Rays and the Mariners and the Jays are all up and down, and who knows who else is going to catch them. But I'd still rather play who comes out of the AL Central than the best wild card team in the American League. I mean, honestly, Guardians or Rays, Twins or Jays.
You want to stay away from the Rays. You want to stay away from the Jays.
Right. In a best of 5 division round also. Division round's best of 5.
So that's our play of the day. Clutch Vodka play of the day. A little baseball talk here in the 7 o'clock hour as the Rays lose just a tough one last night.
Mark, when we come back, there is expected to be today an announcement about a quarterback, but it's not the announcement that you think.
Miller and Moulton. What a tease. Doing
Thank
his
you.
best work in the Pacific Northwest. It's Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So, well, Druda got right back to me. We had no shot.
Yeah.
Apparently, the CEO is tight with Jay Will and Keyshawn.
Yeah. Well,
Like they've actually broadcast from their studios. So he's like, hey, Keyshawn slaps Kellerman around one day. You never know what could happen. They blow the show up, sure, but
well, my whole thing is, Judah had told us that a few months ago, but I said to our guys, there's two others in
Right.
that market. There's a Fox and there's a VSiN station in that market. I mean, come on. I'm going to send you something.
okay. By the way, for those of you in Fort Myers, Osteria Celli? Osteria Celli on Summerlin is just outstanding. Outstanding. Right there on Summerlin and Winkler going towards the beach.
I think until the Mets hold off the Braves, I will say this. Last night's win was big because now the worst they can do is, just 3 out of 4 in 2 games. It also means during this 9-game stretch, they've won that streak. Mets only also only need one more win against the Braves to win the season series, which means they'd own the tiebreaker. Go Raiders. The Mets' 7th and 8th inning relievers scare the blank out of me. I know they have, but a regular season team is sometimes. Go Raiders, believe me. I understand Scherzer and DeGrom in a short series with Diaz, but their setup guys scare the crap out of me.
We're coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Poll question was up early. In fact, we kind of had a talk with ourselves. We kind of had an Aaron Rodgers meeting with the young receiving corps, only we did it to ourselves earlier in the week. And I think Mark was in the role of Aaron Rodgers.
I was, as a matter of fact. I said very matter-of-factly, David, we need to have a poll question by the second segment of the show every day. We come on, we do our thing, a little monologue, chit-chat, whatever, and then we got to come out with a poll question. The continuity of the show will be better if done this way.
Right. And I tried to give Mark a look like, come on, dude. We're doing this 15 years. We're doing just fine. And Mark was not buying any of it. All right. I tried to play a Randall Cobb and look at, Rodgers kind of like, come on, man. It's mid-August. We'll be fine.
You do the same thing, you end up dead, David.
So that's what I got back, ladies and gentlemen. So second segment of the show every day, ever since. We got a poll question up, and I got to hand it to Mark. It's a pretty interesting question. There's no wrong answer. There's 3 really good answers to this question.
Started when David made the claim that he is part of an entourage. He is part of the Monday Night Football entourage. I love that you're part of an entourage. I'm so jealous right now. I've never been jealous of your work. I'm not. I think I'm envious. I think you have a really cool job, and these spotting gigs are incredible, and I've been lucky enough. You've dragged me along a couple of times. So I'm envious, and I'm proud to say that I know the guy that does all of this. But when you went entourage on me today, like, you son of a, I couldn't believe it. I want to be a part of an entourage. So that led to the question: which entourage would you most want to be a part of? Musician, actor, or athlete? Right now, musician has 50% of the vote. Athlete has about 30%, and actor has 20%.
Hops wants to know in our Twitch chat room, does that make me Turtle?
No, it makes me Turtle.
Okay.
Well, I want to be Turtle. That's all I want. Just a short, fat guy running around with the opportunity to get some free stuff now and again.
Brent Matineau, 1 hour from now, talk a little Jags. There are rumors about the Jags that they're actually going to make a significant free agent signing here soon. I kind of like it. They're a bad team. They need as many good players as possible. They've got money to spend. What are you doing sitting on money when you need players? So I kind of like that. We'll get into that. But Mark, we've been waiting for an announcement about a certain quarterback.
Yes, we have.
And what his immediate or long-term future is going to be in the National Football League. And I've come to the conclusion that, that's never going to happen. That I think there's a better chance of Alvin Kamara being suspended than Deshaun Watson. That this thing's just going to drag out. I'm joking, but I'm over the Deshaun Watson waiting for the announcement about when he's going to be suspended. So my tease heading into the break was about there was going to be a big announcement about a quarterback today. That's the word. And the word is, Mark, that Baker Mayfield is going to be named the starting quarterback of the Carolina Panthers.
Oh! Sound the alarms. Blare the trumpets. Where's the Diaz music when I need it?
So if you thought there was some suspense, if you thought Sam Darnold had a shot when they traded for him, giving up a pick and $5 million right before camp, if you thought somehow, some way, Sam Darnold could overcome that, apparently he hasn't.
I'm stunned to hear that news, David.
I know you are.
I just wish Carolina was a little better team, because no matter what, and I like Baker, I'd like Baker to be successful, but that defense might really get after him week 1, because there's not a lot in Carolina offensively, at least I don't think. And that offensive line's bad. And
I think it's a little better than you think. It's not good. I'm not saying they're good. I don't know if they're bad anymore. I also think McCaffrey, especially early when, knock on wood, he hasn't gotten hurt yet, that McCaffrey could give Baker some real help. That he could give him not only Nick Chubb, but he could give him, the guys who also catch the ball out of the backfield. He could get all that from one guy.
I understand. The Browns are really good on the edge, not so good up the middle. And again, it's just week 1, but it's just one of those games. I wish Baker had a little more, because he's already being set up in Carolina.
Well, and maybe, but at least now he has a shot to play.
Yep.
And listen, everybody's in the same boat in Carolina. I mean, the coach may have to win to a certain degree this year to see year 4 of a 7-year plan. Baker's in a contract year, whether he's playing for a job in Carolina or elsewhere. I'm just going to throw this out there, Mark. If you're San Francisco, when the time comes that you're finally doing away with Jimmy G, do you turn to Carolina and say, hey, we'll do the Mayfield deal in reverse? You keep most of Sam's contract. We'll take on just a little bit of it. All right. And we'll have him be our backup. Because, Nate Sudfeld, I'll keep saying it. San Francisco thinks they're a Super Bowl contender. You got to do better than Nate Sudfeld as your number 2 quarterback. And you could say whatever you want about Sam Darnold, but Nate Sudfeld can't hold his luggage. He's terrible.
And by terrible, he means Charles Barkley terrible.
Yeah, terrible. Yes, absolutely.
It's they are in the bottom third, and maybe even more than that as far as we're backup. If you were to rank backup quarterbacks, that's as bad as it is in the league.
By the way, there was a rumor late last week about Mason Rudolph to Detroit. If I'm Mason Rudolph, I would beg for that to happen, because we all know golf is not the long-term future there. And they could contractually get away from golf after this year. All right. And A, you're probably the number 3 quarterback in Pittsburgh. You at least move up to number 2. And B, who knows? If you get a chance to play, you might be able to get a chance to play.
And the other side of it is it gets you longevity at the number 2 spot, because they're going to draft their heir apparent next year anyhow. If things go badly and golf doesn't work, you might be holding the clipboard in Detroit for another 7 years as the deuce.
But you also might be the starter for the first 6, 8, 10 games in 2023. And once again, get a chance to play. You have no shot to play in Pittsburgh. Come on. That ship has sailed. So just Baker Mayfield reportedly to be named the starting quarterback as soon as today. That news was coming out last night, seemingly everywhere, at least in and around the Panthers.
Well, not much of a surprise there. The Rudolph thing, we've talked about that happening for a while, of that trade. That could be another potential trade to San Francisco as well, whenever they get rid of Jimmy G. That's another upgrade there at the backup position. I think Pittsburgh will have some interest in Mason Rudolph.
You mean San Francisco?
No, I just think Pittsburgh will get interest if they.
Oh, absolutely.
They'll get some
Yes.
serious interest. It won't just be one team. I think there'll be several teams that would be looking to add Rudolph because it's better than what their backup is right now.
Oh, yeah. I think Mason Rudolph is an upper half backup quarterback in the NFL. So, I don't think he's a starter at all, but I think he'd be maybe even top 10 backup quarterback in the NFL. The backup quarterback list right now is not very good. And remember, when the Niners do walk away from Jimmy G, his contract is non-guaranteed. So the $24.5 million it's holding on their cap right now, it would all go away. And they would go from about $4 million in cap room to $28-29 million in cap room. So that's why they could take on, even Darnold, if they have to take on half his salary or what have you. Well, hell, they got the money.
And they may leave a bit of that money too to make it. Teams do make trades now. This is the league is starting to morph into the world that you've wanted for a long time. So
or sign, God forbid, sign a JPP or an Ndamukong Suh. The Niners have had a slew of injuries on the defensive line. A slew. But speaking of Suh, there's word that he and the Jags are kind of kicking the same tires. I would love that if I was a Jags fan. Love it, by the way.
The fact that he's, he's a hired gun, he gets the most money. But the fact that he's even considering taking yours when he's been playing basically for rings the last couple of years, I think you're onto something. And what is it, David? It's a free agent saying yes to Jacksonville. And they've not had a lot of people saying yes to them. They've had to overpay to get guys to say yes.
Young team. He's a winner. He's played in 2 Super Bowls. He's won 1. And Ndamukong Suh is going to be debated as to whether he's a Hall of Famer. And Ndamukong Suh is a man. He would walk into that locker room for that side of the ball. Remember, that whole defense is gone from the team that was 6 minutes away from the Super Bowl in 2017. That whole defense is gone. They got 2 high draft picks on the defensive line in recent years. I think 1 year of Ndamukong Suh at this stage of his career, I'd pay him top dollar. 8 for 1 year, $10 million, I'd give it to him. I think his influence on the Jags could be tremendous. And not only that, he doesn't get hurt. He
doesn't take plays off. He works hard.
He had 1 year with the Rams coming off the Super Bowl 2019. He kind of mailed it in until 2018. He was kind of sort of mailing it in until late in the year in the playoffs. And that's the last time that Suh didn't really give it his all for a full season. Something was going on there.
Well, he's 35. I think he can give you one. I mean, I think he could never play a game of football ever again, and he'll still be a Hall of Famer. But I think he can give you one more good year.
Wow. I think he's Hall of Fame worthy, but Felipe, we went through it last hour. I mean, it is so hard to get in that Hall of Fame now. There is such a backlog of guys.
And I wonder if the fact that he's a really dirty player is going to hurt him. I mean, he plays on the edge and crossed it on so many occasions. I don't know if that helps, hurts, or it's indifferent when it comes to that conversation to the Hall, David.
I get that, but I think in that regard, he has certainly cleaned up his act over the years.
In the last 5 years, he has.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. And he's played in the big game twice and won it once. Oh, there's no doubt. He will be a finalist for the Hall multiple times. But if Ndamukong Suh showed up in Jacksonville, I think that'd be great for the Jags. So we'll talk to Brent Martineau. Say, hey, what are you hearing? Any something to this?
Of all the teams that you thought Suh was going to sign with, I would have had the Jags 32nd, 31st on the list.
Well, the word was he was signing with the Raiders. He was just sitting out camp because he didn't feel like playing. You know, I don't need to go to camp. I know what I need to be in shape and what have you. And I think most people would agree. But the word was he was going to the Raiders. That's why all of a sudden here, August 17th, 18th, to hear, wait, Sue somewhere else?
A reminder, we will be on the road a week from Friday at the Napa Auto Parts on Boy Scout, taking the Miller and Moulton show on the road, which has not happened in Act 3 yet, David. So it's our first road show, and we're doing it because Chase Elliott is going to be at the Napa Auto Parts on Boy Scout in Fort Myers a week from Friday at 11 a.m. If you want to get an autograph from the NASCAR champ, go to any of the Napa Auto Parts stores, and you can sign up to skip the line, get first in line. Go to the Napa Auto Parts store on Boy Scout, where we'll be in Fort Myers, or Palm Beach in Fort Myers. You can go to their Cape Coral store, North Fort Myers Beach, or Punta Gorda to sign up to get your autograph from Chase Elliott. Skip the line. We will be there on Friday, 26th. I had to look at the dates. I do a little quick math, David. The 26th. We will be there bright and early with John, Lisa, Justin, and Kyle, the family-owned Napa stores, and we'll be there bright and early for our show at 6 a.m.
When we come back, something that we told you about 12 years ago, 12 years ago, is now definitely going to happen because the power players in the sport started talking about it yesterday.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Nice weed sign out front there, Mr. Hornon. Drove past your office last night coming back from dinner. Laughed pretty hard, giggled going past that. That or Osteria Celli right there, right by your office, is outstanding.
Well, Sue hasn't been dirty for 5 years, but he was dirty his first 10.
Dirty.
Him and Aaron Rodgers had beef. By the way, Mark Cuban talked to Taylor Rooks yesterday. Apparently, he almost got Kobe at the 07 deadline. It's not relevant, but
Well, remember, Kobe requested, people forget, right before they got Powell and went to 3 straight finals and won twice, Kobe requested a trade.
yeah, he wanted out.
That's what requesting a trade means.
Mitch Kupchak convinced him to stay, though.
DC Nick Charles died 11 years ago. Five days before what would have been his 65th birthday.
So I have to laugh. I don't know if I'll ever get to this, but I've got all these guys, older guys. They're all older than me at the club that I play golf with, but there are a couple of them on these health kicks, and one literally quit drinking for 3 months for some of the blood work wasn't right, and he wanted, but he's literally going, his labs are on September 20th. He's already planning on drinking on September 20th before he gets the results back. Just getting to the test.
Totally. You do your tests in the morning so you can have a liquid lunch.
Yep. I just like already planned. I'm like, it's not even August 20th yet.
Where is that restaurant, Mark?
It is on Summerlin and Winkler in a public shopping plaza. Guy makes most of the pastas homemade. All but about 2 of the pastas are homemade. It's so good. And it's not crazy expensive.
Pasta. God, I love me a good pasta.
It really is, Michael. It really is. He's good. I mean, it's typical down here. The service is shaky because his wife's the only waitress and she had 10 tables last night. So, it's not going to be fast, but.
Duh, Bears. $20 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And just like that, it's the third and final hour of Miller and Moulton in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. Halfway home for those in the 239 because the bonus hour would be an hour away. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I'm coming at you from Seattle. Preseason football tonight. Steve Levy, Louis Riddick, Laura Rutledge on the call. Joe and Troy practicing with their new teammates. And apparently the entourage needed to, be on hand, which then led to a poll question about entourages.
Which entourage would you most like to be a part of? Musician, actor, athlete. Musician starting to take a firm hold on this one, David, getting nearly 50% of the vote.
Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, floridasportsnetwork.com, and vote accordingly. All right. Let's try to predict the future, because we saw this coming at least 10 years ago, because it's been at least 10 years that Oklahoma and Texas nearly took a handful of schools with them and joined the Pac-12. And I think that was 2010, between 2010 and 2012. And at that time, we said, listen, they're going to break away from the NCAA. I mean, this is kind of like the PGA Tour, which has no say over the majors. I mean, the NCAA has no say over big-time college football, yet they're the ones that have the discipline and scholarship limits and what have you. And there's going to come a point in time in which these schools just go, yeah, we're done. Well, apparently that day's coming, because not the conference commissioners or athletic directors started talking about it yesterday. No. Apparently, presidents of universities, one from every conference that plays Division I-A football, along with the Notre Dame president, JJ, as Mark calls him, the Reverend John Jenkins.
Well, just as close friends call him JJ.
Exactly, right, of which you're one. So, and Mark considers close friends sometimes kind of like my wife. She follows someone on Facebook and says, well, we're friends. Oh, okay. Right. Mark, her and Bon Jovi.
Friends.
Friends.
Right.
So back to JJ and his entourage. So they're already talking about, listen, we should probably just do our own thing. Just break away from the NCAA. We'll be the ones to legislate this. And we could do whatever the heck we want. And by the way, we're missing out on a lot of money.
Well,
playing by the rules here.
There you go.
Right. In fact, why is it that we have to honor the 4 years left on our current contract and have a 14 playoff? I mean, if we can get everybody to the table in the next year, why don't we get a 12-team playoff going, 2024? I mean, USC, UCLA will be in the Big Ten. We can move up Oklahoma and Texas 1 year. Okay. We could almost kind of say to the Big 12, listen, take a little bit less. All right. They're going to leave in a year. Just let them go. Besides, you're going to get more teams in the playoff. All right. Just come on. Do us a solid here. We'll take care of you. Bada bing, bada boom. But Mark, now that we know that they are finally going to do what it is that we thought they were going to do 10, 12 years ago, where do you think they take this?
There's a couple of different thoughts. And the first one is, who do they take with them? How many do they take with them? Is this just the Power Five going to do their own thing? Is this just a part of the Power Five going to do their own thing?
No, I think it's Division I-A. That they're just totally leave.
Part that I am just stunned by, because why would FIU, FAU, Central Michigan, Wyoming, all these schools that have no shot, going to have to jump into the pool with all the money that they don't have and try to compete in this? Unless the money that they're getting, much like the NCAA basketball tournament, that they're looking at this, of all the money that they could potentially get, that there's actually a revenue sharing portion of this for the have-nots. And that doesn't seem to be anything that college football has ever been a part of. And I know no one cares about the have-nots, but I don't understand going forward how you want to break away and take the have-nots with you. It makes no sense to me.
I'm just glad that the by the way, technically, they're called the Board of Managers. Okay, not to be confused with the Playoff Management Committee. Those are the conference commissioners and the AD of Notre Dame. The Board of Managers, they're the university presidents, one representing each conference that plays big-time football, and then the president of Notre Dame. Mark, I think you hit on it. We've been saying the FIUs and the FAUs of the world should drop down a notch and play FCS ball and compete for championships and lose 20 scholarships, by the way, which will help them, even if they don't have to make any other arrangements with any other sports. Just not having to fund 20 scholarships will save them money. And they'll win more, and not so sure attendance is going to be any different. In fact, we could argue it might be more because everybody likes a winner. But maybe, just like why is it that the power conferences keep the lesser halves? Why don't they just break away? Well, you need wins. I mean, that's why. I mean, there's a reason Vanderbilt will always be in the SEC. And it's not the academics. It's because in football, teams need wins. And so maybe, just maybe, they are going to create a system in which all of the FAUs and FIUs who are losing millions of dollars, in some cases tens of millions of dollars, maybe they will be able to pay them, Mark, to continue losing. And if by chance you're a Coastal Carolina or an App State or whatever the case, Fresno State, Boise, whatever, we create a system big enough, there might be room for one of you suckers every 8-10 years. So we can offset your losing and your playing. And if you actually have your you-know-what together, you know what? We could make you a 15, 16 seed in our little tournament.
That's the other part of it, too. That's how they pay them. Because what does the NCAA basketball tournament do for all these conferences? It's a substantial check. For the Robert Morrises and the Florida Gulf Coast universities of the world, these checks from the NCAA are a big deal. And with the money that would open up for a football playoff, they would have the money to pay these schools off, David. They would. The other side of it, too, is if it this to me is probably a very minor detail to everybody else. To me, it's a huge deal. If they are going to break away, do the scholarships then become a separate entity? And you know what I'm getting at here, David.
Well, yeah. Do they have to play by the Title IX rules that they play by now? That if they break away from the university's athletic system, so to speak, do those 85 scholarships no longer count and we don't have to finance sports the way we have? All right. My guess, Mark, is that they won't be able to get away with it.
I wouldn't think they would either. But that's the first place my head went. What happens then with these scholarships? Because what would happen on the other side. They'd cut sports.
Well, they'd certainly stop investing. There's no doubt about it. They would stop investing in sports that didn't generate revenue, of which there's a lot of male sports, but there's more female sports.
And you have to add 3 female teams, essentially, just to have a football team.
Right. So, and there are a lot of people in big-time college athletics that would like to see certain sports reduced to the club level, that are not necessarily thrilled that they essentially have to have 24 varsity sports, if you know what I mean. Why can't we have 15 varsity sports? And then we can just have these sports over here. Go finance yourselves. All right. You got rich parents and what have you. You'll go get a couple of alumni and donors and just, keep it in state. We won't travel out of state. You'll play your little thing and what have you.
Hell, we might even do a tournament at the end of the year.
Yeah, maybe. Sure.
You'll have to pay for that yourselves also, but we will throw a tournament.
Right. We'll stream it on ESPN Plus. Don't worry.
And I think you're probably right on Title IX, but that's the first question I had when I saw this, is if it breaks away, what does it do to the scholarships, and what does it do with the little guy? And I think they have to pay the little guy off, and this is the way to do it, because the money they would get from the playoff would be astronomical.
See, Mark, the reason why I think they're going to include everybody is, why bring this up in front of the presidents representing the MAC and the Mountain West and what have you, if at the end of the day, like, to me, the Greg Sankeys of the world would stick it to those conferences. I don't think the presidents of the universities, okay, would necessarily look them in the eye and go, by the way, we're going to put you out of business. You know, that's what conference commissioners are for, not university presidents.
And this meeting was the board of managers, right? Did I get that right? The board of managers?
Mark, well done. Well done. The playoff management committee commissioners. Okay, board of management, think illustrious presidents.
And so they're meeting, talking about college football becoming its own entity. And this is something we've been talking about for a long time on this show. And now it looks as if the university presidents have joined on with Miller and Moulton. Maybe that's our entourage, David, the college university presidents.
I need somebody to help me trademark the whole university-sponsored football association, the USFA, that I came up with 3 weeks ago on this show. Because let me tell you, that is exactly what's happening, baby.
From one meeting where a lot happened to a meeting where nothing happened. Absolutely nothing on the other side. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Did you see McElroy's comment?
Yeah.
It's pretty apparent that whenever we all get in the room, there's an elf in there, and it's not me.
Me.
And KW, for the record, I agree with you 100%. It can't be great Italian if they're not making. Yes, makes perfect sense. David. Yes.
So he said to me that that's just like a literally dip toe in water, just throw that out there, and is not apparently is just going to run network programming of some kind and not do anything with it, but it's the beginning of the greasing of the skids.
Apparently, something's happened with the Florida gambling because Wallach is on a roll tweeting right now.
Uh-oh.
His last tweet, Interior falsely again characterizes West Flagler's main challenge to the compact being grounded in the Florida Constitution. The complaint makes it crystal clear that the main argument is based on IGRA. Do they not think we read these things? This is his third tweet going through this. Oh, I'm sorry. This is his now about, he's gone nuts. We might have to get him back on the show. This is the Department of the Interior's opening brief.
Well, isn't the Department of the Interior supposed to be on the side of IGRA?
It doesn't look like it from what he's saying.
30 seconds.
I mean, I understand if the state of Florida is not on the side of IGRA.
He just 2 hours ago, we finally have opening briefs.
15.
But the Seminoles waste no time in misrepresenting the record below, right out of the gate, in fact.
We're coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Brent Martineau. He does the TV radio thing in Jacksonville. And talk a little Jags. They're basically wrapping up camp today. Final practice that they've been having at a high school. And there are rumors they're going to sign a big name. We'll talk to Brent Martineau about that coming up about 20 minutes. Reminder, a week tomorrow, John, Lisa, Kyle, and Justin, 6 family-owned Napa locations in Lee and Charlotte County. They are bringing Chase Elliott to their Napa location on Boy Scout Drive in Fort Myers a week from tomorrow. What you need to do, though, if you really want to get his autograph, go to their stores in Port Charlotte, Cape, North Fort Myers Beach, 2 in Fort Myers. Sign up, and they'll give you the golden ticket. So you'll be in line, and that ensures you an autograph. You show up a week from tomorrow, they'll be nice to you. They'll do the best they can, but there's a good chance you're not going to get an autograph. So just go in. No purchase necessary, by the way. In fact, John made sure to tell us, hey, I'm not forcing people to come in and spend $20 or anything like that. No. Just come in, sign up. So he's a good guy. He's trying to do you right. All right. But you need to, do what you
him
can
right.
for yourself.
Do him right and sign up and make sure you get your best chance to get an autograph.
Right. So what the heck happened in Williamsburg, Delaware these last 2 days?
I have no idea, and the players are not willing to talk about it, David. They're not going to be transparent because it's not time to be transparent. David, a lot of new and fresh ideas were put on the table, apparently. We don't know what any of the new and fresh ideas were.
All right. What can they do? Because they're trying to make the tour better. Reportedly, they're trying to figure out ways that more good players can play in more events. All right. You and I have played the schedule game for a long time. And one of the things that we do is we try to figure out when's a bad schedule week. And it's like, man, they needed to sit down and move some of these games around because this is a really bad week of games in this conference. Couldn't they have figured something out? Isn't that essentially, Mark? I mean, if you're trying to not have an LIV event head-to-head with yours in which their field is noticeably better, which, by the way, the LIV's played 3 tournaments. Twice their field was better than the PGA Tour event that was head-to-head with it. I mean, that is a fact.
And it's inarguable.
I mean, that's top 50 players, top 100 players, top 150 players, you name it. All right, the LIV event was a better field. So don't you have to sit down and start coordinating schedules? I mean, honestly, Rory and JT and Spieth, and how many left on tour, by the way, are draws? But don't you guys have to sit around and go, well, okay, I hate this course. I'm not going to play there. All right, fine. I'll go to Houston. I mean, seriously, aren't you going to have to do that?
Well, here, I don't know if there's any one player that's Rory, maybe. Without Tiger, I don't know if there's one player that's a draw on tour. I do think a collective group of players makes a draw. Just looking at what was at that 3M tournament in Minneapolis, which had the LIV, I believe, across from it, playing better golf. But that tournament in Minneapolis had a terrible field that Tony Finau won the tournament.
Right.
The next week at the Rocket Mortgage, it was a hell of a lot better field.
Right.
It's really simple. They have to make sure that if they're talking the top guys, that just what you talked about, that the top 6-8 guys have to make sure that 4 of them are at every tournament.
Okay. I have an idea. It's a crazy idea. How about if you have less events? Now, I understand we were just yesterday railing on the tour for catering to the top 20 and not anybody else. And the less events you have, the harder you make it on the rank and file to make a living. I get that. But if you're looking out for the best interests of the tour, shouldn't you lop off about 10 events? Make your season mid-January to late August, which is really mid-January to very early August, because now you've reduced the Tour Championship to just the top 70. So you're playing a little less than 7 full months. I mean, that's 30 weeks. Tops, you're really playing 28 weeks. If you were running the tour, wouldn't you rather no Tiger Woods anymore? And by the way, about 10 guys that went to the LIV tour, you can mock them all you want. They were names. All right? They really were. They were names.
DeChambeau was a draw.
Bryson DeChambeau or Patrick Cantlay? Be honest. Bryson DeChambeau or Xander Schauffele? Be honest.
DJ and Koepka, or name them.
So don't you now have to, I don't know, go back to the old system, Mark. Have September, October, November be the fall, and that's where the rank and file go to keep their cards and earn their money. And, some of those tournaments you win, you get an invite. Some you win, you don't get an invite to the major tournaments. But so what? You got the check. I mean, I don't know how they're going to do it if they don't consolidate the tour. These guys only play 15 events, tops.
And they might be able to do that because they're adding more of these World Golf events with just the top fields. You know they'll have a secondary event like the Barracuda and some of these events that they have that go along with whatever tournament's going on. So they actually can have their cake and eat it too here. They can pull it off. I would be done in the fall, period. I wouldn't even consider playing golf in September, October, November, December. You want to have your silly season events like it used to be, David, that you want to have your QBE shootout. You want to have, Tigers Challenge and some of these tournaments that time of year. Great. That's when you have those type of events. But whatever happened to an off season?
Well, that's one of the things that led to this. They started doing the year-round tour, and it started right back up at October 1st, and a lot of the players were like, I don't feel like playing October, November, and December, and that puts me behind in world golf ranking points, puts me behind in FedEx standings. This is ridiculous. So that was a beef on tour. Listen, it's obvious. They don't want to play against the NFL, and I don't blame them. So that's why they've now ended their season by the end of August. Great. But honestly, I've got a lot of ideas for the LIV. All right. I don't know what I would do for the PGA Tour. Except the one thing we talked about yesterday. You want to help the rank and file? Make sure everybody gets a check every week. Okay? Come on now. They should not have to go out and shoot 272s, miss the cut by a stroke, all right, and have to take $8,000 out of their pocket to pay their caddy, his costs, their travel costs, all right, the entry fee to the tournament, and they went out and actually played pretty decent golf and missed it by a stroke. And they can't even get a check for $5,000? Seriously?
The tour's got the money.
Yeah.
They've already shown it. Not to mention the little other cash cow that the tour has with these Monday qualifiers that they're charging people ridiculous amounts of money for trying to get 2 spots. The tour makes money 6 ways but sideways.
So, and I am surprised that maybe they're just waiting to Tour Championship week. Maybe they know what they're going to announce, but they're not going to do it this week. They're going to wait to next, their final week of the season, so to speak. But I am surprised they didn't come out and bury those that went to the LIV and say, no, there is no indefinite suspension. It's a forever ban. You're done.
No, all they really said is that they had a lot of ideas, and they're not going to let anybody know at this time what any of those ideas were. Top secret, David. Top secret.
Well, good luck.
Miller and Moulton. We'll head to Jacksonville next. Thanks for listening. Back with more in a moment right here. Where else? The Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
If you own 6 Southwest Florida Napa stores and were a big NASCAR fan, wouldn't you put the two together?
How about bringing Chase Elliott to Fort Myers?
Friday, August 26th, Chase Elliott will sign autographs at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive in Fort Myers beginning at 11 a.m.
The best way to get in line, stop by one of the 6 family-owned Napa Auto Parts stores. Napa Auto Parts, 1820 Boy Scout Road, 1220 Vizcaya Parkway in Cape Coral, 532 Pine Island Road in Fort Myers, 532 Pine Island Road in North Fort Myers, 4175 Palm Beach Boulevard in Fort Myers, and 17284 San Carlos Boulevard on Fort Myers Beach.
And don't forget about the Napa location in Punta Gorda at 1810 Tamiami Trail. Sign up for your chance to meet and get an autograph with Chase Elliott.
Coming Friday, August 26th at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive starting at 11 a.m.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. A game sometime soon in the middle of the country. Not for
You go to Kansas City for a Monday nighter?
I do in mid-October. I think ESPN, I think the same crew is doing a game Monday in like New York or Philly. I know CBS has got their preseason opener coming up also. Yeah, Fox Sunday night. Yeah, Monday Night Football, ESPN, Atlanta and the Jets. And Sunday night, Fox is doing Ravens Cardinals. Ravens looking for their 22nd straight preseason win.
You're going to Mexico City for a game?
Yeah. Yep. Though the Monday before Thanksgiving. We were supposed to with Fox 2 years ago. It got canceled because of the pandemic.
You going to be able to get Wi-Fi, or are you going to be taking those 2 days off?
Oh, no, I'm doing a show.
Man, you go out west a lot.
Oh, my God. Oh, well, I mean, how can you not? The AFC, I mean, if you're a network and the league gives you the AFC West, so they give you the Rams and the Niners, you're like, sign me up. But yeah, a lot of good teams out west, or intriguing. Oh, Michael, I don't go out. I work. I mean, I really, and if by chance I go out, it's after the game and it's right by the hotel. And that would be just to grab a bite and a drink and head back to the room. But
man, you want to be on Air Aikman that night and do the show from his pad in Dallas.
Yeah, actually, I might have to talk to him about that. Do you think we can get back by 5 a.m. Central? No, that's all right, Troy. I won't wake you. Well, 5:01.
Oh, Mexico City Central Time, by the way.
I know it is. It's like due south of Houston, I think.
Okay.
But
I just looked it up. I thought you might be in the Mountain Time Zone, my favorite of all time zones.
I know. Mark, who's
in Mexico City.
Mark, who's never been to the Sun Bowl, in theory, would love the Sun Bowl.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. It is a pleasure to welcome for the first time Brent Matineau. He is a busy man. In fact, very thankful he fit us in. He does that TV thing, 6, 10, and 11, that sort of deal. And he also does the late afternoon sports talk thing on ESPN 690 in Jacksonville. You can follow Brent on Twitter, Brent A.S. Jax. Brent A.S. J-A-X. Brent, it's David and Mark, and we mean it. Thanks for doing this. How are you?
You bet. Good morning, guys. And you might want to mute me on Twitter. I tweet so much sometimes. So be afraid to hit the mute button from time to time.
All right, Brent. Well, tell us, what are you hearing out of Jags camp? There are some, I'd seen some lofty expectations out of a few people. What are the realistic expectations for the Jags this year?
I think here's the deal for the Jags. I've been to every practice, and we're really close to watching this team just about every step they make, and they are a lot better. They're a lot better getting off the bus. They're a lot better on the field. They have more talent. They are better coached. All of that stuff is a real thing. My biggest question this year is how much have they closed the gap on the rest of the league, specifically the AFC, and more specifically the AFC South. And I think that's what we're going to find out. I think they are a much improved football team. And so, we're putting it at like a 6-7 win type of prediction. And they won 4 games over the last 2 years. You win 6 games, that's actually a pretty good jump. And I think that 6-7 is a big thing. It's not like just one game. 7 would be huge for this franchise to take that kind of step. And that would be nice. So I think it's a 6-7 win kind of year, and based more on the strength of the schedule and playing the AFC West, and the other teams are really good. There's not a lot of layups on the schedule for the Jags, and quite frankly, there haven't been a lot of layups for the Jags over the last 15 years.
Brent Matineau, CBS and Fox, locally in Jacksonville, and then Afternoon Drive on ESPN 690 in Jacksonville. Kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. Well, listen, this franchise is ultimately going to go as Trevor Lawrence goes. How much better, hopefully, does he look this August?
Yeah, I think Trevor's been outstanding, really. You coming off of practice yesterday that he was his worst. He actually had his worst practice. But overall, he's had a terrific few weeks. And I just don't know if we can say enough about what Doug Peterson will do for Trevor Lawrence. He knows the position so well. He surrounded his staff with a lot of quarterbacks that have experience, a guy like Mike McCoy as well. And then on top of that, Peterson, I think, is just a genuinely good guy. And from a value system standpoint, from what happened last year with Urban Meyer and Trevor, I think Trevor's just more comfortable. And so we're hoping you see that meteoric rise, right? The Joe Burrow kind of jump in year 2. I don't know if that's a real deal expectation, because there's not the continuity that all those other guys going into year 2 have had in the past. But I think you should expect a pretty good jump, a lot better play. And I think we're seeing it out on the football field. This guy is the real deal. How can they be good enough around him?
Well, the one thing Joe Burrow had last year was unbelievable receivers. Do the Jags think that they've got pass catchers to do what they need for Lawrence to make that jump that you're talking about, Brent?
Yeah, they don't have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, but they have way more options than they've ever had since I started covering the team 15 years ago. Now, listen, they had a nice receiving core a few years back when they had like Allen Robinson and Allen Hurns, and those guys were productive. But I think you marry the skill set of the quarterback and Trevor Lawrence, and now you bring in a guy like Christian Kirk to go along with a veteran of Marvin Jones who you can rely on. And then the X factor here is all of a sudden Zay Jones. He's the MVP of the first few weeks of camp. I mean, Zay Jones comes in on like a 3-year, $24 million deal, and nobody's really talking about him. And all of a sudden, he's like the star right now, and he is playing excellent football. And then I'll add in Evan Ingram. And with Doug Peterson's offense, Evan Ingram could have a career year in Jacksonville from the tight end spot. And then one more, Travis Etienne. He comes back off injury. And what does he do? Can Doug Peterson get him matched up on a linebacker? And guys, if he gets him matched up on a linebacker, it's over. So the Jags, for the first time in a really long time, outside of a running back to game plan for Fred Taylor, Maurice Jones-Drew, Leonard Fournette, they now have receivers in an offense that you have to line up and say, I'm not really sure where the football is going to go here. And Trevor Lawrence can make every throw the NFL quarterback needs to make. And that's what's got me excited about their offense.
Well, and Brent, if Evan Ingram can just catch the balls that he should catch, he'd be a top 5 tight end in the league because his talent is there, but he does have the dropsies. If he could eliminate, and I know he works like a dog at practice and he stays after every day for an hour with the jugs machines and what have you. Brent, does it look like it's starting to pay off? Because he's got the talent.
Yeah, he does have the talent. I think you're right. And there's been a narrative around him. And when you get that kind of narrative about and label of a guy that does drop football from time to time, I think that's hard to shed. And quite honestly, there's been a few times or two balls the other night on a Monday night practice inside the stadium where he dropped it. And so as soon as he drops one, it becomes like this elevated sense, right? Like, oh, here we go. And I don't know if he's feeling that way, but certainly everybody watching feels that way. And then everybody writes about it and tweets about it. And so I think they have to be a little careful of that. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's never going to drop a football. I mean, he's done that in his career. But I also think it's very easy to say he can have 65-plus catches in this offense with Doug Peterson. It is a perfect scenario for Evan Ingram. Doug Peterson might be the top coach in the league when it comes to tight end-friendly coaches. If he's not the top one, he's got to be a top 3 guy. And Evan Ingram's on a 1-year, like $9 million prove-it deal. I mean, he has the makings of really having a breakout season. And by the way, he's got Trevor Lawrence. You know, I mean, he didn't have the quarterback play while he was in New York as well. So he's got to catch the football. I agree with you. But I still think even with a few drops, he has a chance to have a heck of a season.
Brent, there was some talk of Ndamukong Suh being linked to the Jags. Are you hearing anything there?
Nah, we haven't heard anything there, at least concrete. Malcolm Brown was let go yesterday. Saves him. I think this was a business decision there, $3 million. And then they have Jay Tufele, who was a 4th-round draft pick last year. And, I mean, do you cut a 4th-round draft pick last year? Or do you cut a guy like Malcolm Brown, save $3 million? Jags spent a ton of money this year, so they're actually up against the cap a little bit. And I think this was more business decision because there wasn't enough separation in the play. I mean, it's so fresh. That's 24 hours old. So that's kind of my guess, because they did wonder that if Jay Tufele would even be a good fit in this scheme. And all of a sudden, boom, he looks like the guy to make the team. Devon Hamilton has played pretty well, and they're going to rely on him at the nose tackle spot. So obviously there's a connection, right? Like Caldwell, former Buck, defensive coordinator now with the Jags. But that's just smoke right now. I'm not sure we're seeing enough fire.
Brent, finally, how meaningful was Hall of Fame weekend? First Jag goes in Baselli, a native of Jacksonville, Leroy Butler, goes in the same weekend. The team's been around for nearly 30 years, and yet it seemed as if last weekend was not that it put the city and the franchise on the map, because obviously they've been for a long time, but it just seemed as if it reached another level 2 weeks ago. Is that ridiculous, me saying that?
No, I think it's a fair assessment, and I think it's a good assessment. This is, even as you're talking about it, I mean, you kind of get like a little bit of that goosebump feel, and it was that kind of emotion up in Canton. I mean, there were so many Jags fans up there, and they celebrated this moment, and I think you can make an argument that it was a top 3 moment in franchise history. And because of, the inception of the organization, certainly there. And then you can pick your favorite season, whether it's 96, 99, even 2017, depending on when you're born. But then this moment to put a Jag in the Hall of Fame, and especially one that we all felt like was way overdue. And then to see the turnout in Canton, Ohio, and that was like a Jags day and really a Jags week. They sold out of Tony Baselli's stuff, memorabilia in Canton, Ohio. And that was an emotional day for the city of Jacksonville. And by the way, you got to give Tony a lot of credit too, because he has become a Jacksonville guy. And there's nobody better to kind of go into the hall and open those doors for the Jacksonville Jaguars organization than Tony. This place means so much to him. And I thought he was terrific all week long. So I think you hit it, man. That was a big, big moment. And I'm not sure not everybody will say it outside the city limits, but you just did a good job assessing it. So maybe other people could feel it. And now it's trying to get a Super Bowl, right? Now it's trying to get a Lombardi trophy. Now it's trying to win on a more regular basis. But I'll say the one last part of this, that moment came after the Jags have essentially lost for 15 years in a row. And so people need something to grab onto. And this was their rallying cry for the last 6 years, getting Tony into the hall. And it really, really meant something. And by the way, I can't dismiss Leroy Butler because, I mean, what a cool story. And another Jacksonville native. I mean, how good is Jacksonville football and the products out of here to go another Hall of Famer into Canton, Ohio, that joins the likes of Harold Carmichael and Bob Hayes and Brian Dawkins and others. So a terrific moment for Leroy Butler as well.
Brent, we meant it 10 minutes ago. We mean it now. Thanks for doing this. You're very busy. Hopefully we can do this again.
You bet. Anytime, guys.
Brent Martineau. He does the CBS Fox TV thing on local news in Jacksonville. And then he does the sports talk thing on ESPN 690 in Afternoon Drive. You can follow Brent on Twitter, Brent AS Jax. Brent AS JAX.
I don't mean this in a bad way, and I think it'll come off that way, but, Jacksonville being in the league as long as they have, it's remarkable that they even got a franchise of this. You think about it, if they were going to put 2 new teams in there and Jacksonville didn't have a team, would you even think of them being considered for a team?
And think about when they got it, too. I mean, Jacksonville's status is bigger now because of the Jags, but they were awarded the team in 93.
Right.
I mean, 29 years ago, the NFL's looking around and going, you know what? Let's do Jacksonville. Wait, what? I mean, I remember where I was when they did it, and that was my reaction. I went, wait, what? They're going where?
Didn't the Jaguars also have that really impressive playoff win against the Broncos?
Yeah, but
I'm
that's what
not
he
talking
mentioned.
about
But
Yeah.
I'm saying that really elevated them
Yes.
onto yeah.
Well, and Felipe, what helped both Jacksonville and Carolina was they both had the Cinderella, although the Carolina one wasn't that Cinderella because in their second year they were actually the 2 seed. But the Jags won like their last 6 games, snuck in at 9-7, and then they take down the Bills, who had owned the AFC for the previous 5 years, and they go to Denver and beat a 14-2 Broncos team.
So yes, they got some legitimacy early, both of them. But again, I'm not talking about when they started playing and winning. I'm talking about that the NFL said Jacksonville, Florida. That's
Right.
where we're going to go.
Right.
I couldn't even imagine that now if they didn't have a team.
Well, and I was there. You were still working in hockey at the time, but and then they gave Jacksonville a Super Bowl. Now
Right.
they'll never give them one again. I mean, they
made
had
the
to
draft.
Yeah, I could see that getting a draft. And when you think about it, the weather in theory would be terrific.
The Landings would be a great spot to host the draft.
Yes, it would.
It would be a great scene, actually.
Yes, and the people would come out in earnest. Absolutely.
Right.
But
No, that's a cocktail party right there.
It is.
yeah, it really would be. And you'd have people come down from Georgia also for it. I could see a lot of Falcons fans even that would make the trip from Atlanta. It's 5 hours. But I mean, that Super Bowl, they had to bring in cruise ships. People literally stayed in cruise ships because there weren't enough hotel rooms. I mean, it is remarkable what the NFL has done for Jacksonville.
Yes.
To pick them, and then 9 years into their history, they give that city a Super Bowl. I mean, they haven't given Carolina a Super Bowl. They gave Jacksonville a Super Bowl.
Yeah, Charlotte won't get one.
And yet, if we're being objective,
Oh.
If those were the two choices, Charlotte or Jacksonville to host a Super Bowl, with everything that goes into a Super Bowl, where would you give it?
Charlotte.
Right. And they gave it to Jacksonville, which, by the way, shows when you're a popular owner, what can happen. Wayne Weaver, for whatever reason, Tagliabue loved them.
It's still looking back on that. Of all the places you could go, they picked Jacksonville. And then Jacksonville's been bad for so long, they had to revamp their whole fan base, which they've started to do. I hope for some success. I'd love to see them get to the 7-win mark this year. I think that would be a huge jump.
Like he mentioned, though, the schedule's actually harder. So double it up, get to 6. Finish ahead of the Texans, by the way. Don't finish last. Can you start there? It's kind of like Detroit. Can you just leapfrog the Bears?
That's it. That's it. And that is it for Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, and Port Charlotte. The bonus hour still coming up in the 239. We thank you so much for listening to Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
If you own 6 Southwest Florida Napa stores and were a big NASCAR fan, wouldn't you put the two together?
How about bringing Chase Elliott to Fort Myers?
Friday, August 26th, Chase Elliott will sign autographs at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive in Fort Myers beginning at 11 a.m.
The best way to get in line, stop by one of the 6 family-owned Napa Auto Parts stores. Napa Auto Parts, 1820 Boy Scout Road, 1220 Vizcaya Parkway in Cape Coral, 532 Pine Island Road in Fort Myers, 532 Pine Island Road in North Fort Myers, 4175 Palm Beach Boulevard in Fort Myers, and 17284 San Carlos Boulevard on Fort Myers Beach.
And don't forget about the Napa location in Punta Gorda at 1810 Tamiami Trail. Sign up for your chance to meet and get an autograph with Chase Elliott.
Coming Friday, August 26th at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive starting at 11 a.m.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just worked with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, Adam, we know it was torn down, but I mean, you need an area that they could build something with. I mean, I don't know. They could also use that kind of little amphitheater there, kind of that the stadium has, that they've done events at there.
I'm just merely saying that they will never get a Super Bowl and they may get a draft. That's all. I think they move that draft. I actually think that would be a perfect place to have it.
But that's interesting because I probably would have had the same exact reaction. Like Jacksonville.
By the way, I just
The
had that same
hell?
reaction. I was just looking through headlines. Pau Gasol's Lakers jerseys being retired.
Yeah.
Okay,
You don't think he
That's-
should?
that's a joke.
No, that's freaking
Absolute
ridiculous.
effing joke.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, they don't win 2 more rings without him.
Come on.
Do you,
Oh
do you think Chris Bosh's jersey should be in the rafters?
I don't.
The Heat?
But that's me.
There's a big difference between the Miami Heat and the Los Angeles Lakers
I
of
think
what
that's very
of
true.
what your category is to put it. You've got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Jerry West.
Shaq.
Come on, are you Kobe effing Bryant? Are you kidding me? It disrespects every other jersey that's hanging in that building. I'm sorry.
I don't know, man. Pau was a great player.
When was he the best player on a team he played for?
The Grizzlies.
Oh, then retire in Memphis.
Well, no one's going to be the best player on a team with Kobe. I mean, unless you're Shaq.
There you go. That's kind of the point.
I don't know.
I was
man.
stunned.
Pau was a great player.
Okay. Not even denying that.
By the way, how many years did he play there?
Let's see. 08, 09, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Played
6
from
years.
08 to 14.
6 years.
He was an
6
all-star
years?
3 straight times. Oh, great. It's a joke. It's an absolute effing joke. Couldn't believe it.
See, this is where I wish basketball, like football teams will put you in their ring of honor, but not retire your jersey. That's where, if the Lakers wanted to have a Pau Gasol night and honor him and bring his family in.
Let me give you these names of retired Lakers. Kobe Bryant, Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor, Gail Goodrich, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal, James Worthy, Jerry West, Jamal Wilkes. He does not belong on that list. Doesn't.
Jamal Wilkes' number is retired by the Lakers?
Yeah.
Played for him
Jamal
for a
Wilkes.
Yeah, played for him a long time. And
Yeah. But
Averaged 20 a game.
yeah,
I mean,
I'm looking at his numbers. That's Pau numbers. And he was a 3-time All-Star.
yeah, but he different era, played on the Showtime Lakers teams. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I get.
And I would say he's questionable to be on that list, but he's more of a Laker than Pau Gasol. Holy cow.
by the way, Felipe, Jamal Wilkes was the 4th best player on his team. Powell was the 2nd.
I mean, how are you going to tell me? How are you going to tell me it's? I mean, whatever. I wasn't alive when Jamal Wilkes played, so
Right.
We're coming
Now, I think it's borderline with Jamal Wilkes.
It's a
I do.
shot right there, Mello.
Not sure we did 10. We did 10.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
The bonus hour of Miller and Moulton, and usually we start anew at the top of an hour, a new topic. But if it's okay with you, and some of you may not have been with us for our last segment, but we ended our last segment because we had a little Jags talk. There's talk that Ndamukong Suh might go to Jacksonville. And we were talking about just Jacksonville getting a franchise. And that if you were to think about it, even today, maybe it feels like, oh, yeah, Jacksonville franchise, but they were awarded the franchise in 1993. I mean, think about Jacksonville and where it was on the, pantheon, if you will, of sports cities in 1993. So in our Twitch chat room, somebody asked, well, who were they up against? Now, you know what? Good question. Here's who they were up against, Mark. First off, Mayor Daley in Chicago wanted Chicago to get a second franchise. Because at the time, LA had the Rams and Raiders for about another hour. But at the time, they had the Rams and the Raiders. And New York obviously had the Jets and Giants. We're not even talking about Buffalo and upstate. And so Daley, third largest city in the country, he's like, well, the top two each have two. We should have a second. NFL said no. Baltimore, Memphis, Sacramento, San Antonio, St. Louis, Charlotte, Oakland. Now, we all know in short order what happened. The Rams end up going to St. Louis, and the Raiders go back to Oakland. Memphis ends up getting used because Houston relocates to Nashville, but they can't go there right away. There's no place to play. So Jacksonville and Charlotte end up beating those cities and Chicago, Baltimore, Sacramento, San Antonio.
The one that gets me is San Antonio, and it shows you the power of the Cowboys because they wouldn't allow a third team in that state. San Antonio is nowhere near Dallas-Fort Worth.
No, and it certainly should have a franchise, and it would be a terrific franchise. They'd sell out every game. All right, it'd be terrific.
That's the one on that list that I look at the most. Memphis is another one that could have supported it. They'll never get one now that Nashville has one, even though it's a bigger city than Nashville.
And, of course, we all know Baltimore. Well, they ended up 2-3 years later getting the Browns. Browns left after the 95 season, fall of 95. So about 2.5 years after this list, Baltimore ends up getting a franchise. But if you go back, the history that Baltimore had, for goodness sake, the Colts were there 10 years before that vote. I mean, the Colts had only been in Indianapolis 9 years. And Jacksonville wins out over Baltimore and Oakland. With the history that those two cities had with the NFL.
I just find it remarkable that Jacksonville, one, got it, and two, has been, and because whenever we talk about a London franchise, who's the first team you talked about? Well, the London Jags.
And if not them, Tampa Bay, but yes. And I will say, what do we think's going to happen to the Bucs when Brady retires? A year from now, when Tom Brady's not there, and Blaine Gabbert or Kyle Trask is your quarterback, how good do you think you're going to be? And then how soon do the fans stop coming?
And that's a Florida problem. If you're not good, they don't show. It doesn't matter whether it's Miami, Jacksonville, or Tampa. You don't give them a reason to go, particularly when the first 6 weeks of the season are unbearable to go watch a game anyhow. And you're not giving them a legit reason to go see a quality product. Then what happens? Because the Dolphins, obviously the most storied of the Florida franchises, they have an attendance problem. This will be the first year they haven't had an attendance problem in how long, David?
Well, I've been in Florida 23 years. You probably have to go back to Shula and Marino, probably the 90s. Also, in just going back, little revisionist history. When the NFL announced in 93 they were going to add 2 teams, the NFL hadn't added teams since 1976 with Seattle and Tampa Bay. I mean, so their first expansion in a generation. And they go back to the Florida well, which is fascinating because it's the Bucs are awful. Awful. They're the Jags. I mean, think about the Bucs from 76 through 92. They've had like 3 winning seasons total. and the NFL decides to go back. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's great for us. Even if you're not a Jags fan or a Bucs fan, hell, you're a fan of somebody else. You've probably gone to Tampa and Jacksonville to see your favorite team. So that Miami wasn't the only. And I will say, if you're the NFL, they'd look around and go, it seems like people are going to Florida. We only got one team there, and it's in the bottom right part of the state. Should we maybe, I don't know. I mean, people seem to go to that.
You know how hard it is to fly to Jacksonville?
It is.
It's easier to fly to Fort Myers than it is to Jacksonville. And it's not close.
No, it is not. No, it is not.
You can fly from the little 239 here to a lot of major cities direct. Try doing that in Jacksonville.
Is it really
Good luck.
that good?
Yes.
Wow.
You're going to
you're
going to Atlanta.
Everything's through Atlanta, seemingly. All right. There was one direct flight I took from, I think it was Houston to Jacksonville. You can't even get to New Orleans, which is so odd because there's a highway that connects the two cities. You would think there'd be a direct flight.
Well, those are two cities that no hubs. Got to
Right.
get to a hub to get there. They're direct. You can get to New Orleans from just about anywhere, as long as it's a hub.
And also, when you really think about it, so the NFL decides they're going to do Florida twice. They're going to give them the Bucs and they're going to give them the Jags. Isn't it remarkable that neither one was Orlando? If you think about it, we're going to, in the mid-'70s, we're going to hand out a team. Cities not named Miami in the state of Florida, where you lived. What was the only city that you could name in Florida besides Miami if you didn't live in Florida? It's Orlando, Disney.
Tallahassee, maybe, if you knew the capital.
If you didn't live in the state, I mean, yeah, if you got quizzed in your history class about state capitals, you'd know the state capital of Florida's Tallahassee. Otherwise, no. Maybe you did a spring break somewhere else, Fort Lauderdale, I don't know, Daytona. Probably Daytona because of the 500. Oh, by the way, what's 30, 40 miles to the west of Daytona? Orlando.
It's one of those things that's always struck me is how they got it. And I hope that they start turning the corner this year, because I've always thought that at some point, Mr. Khan's taking that franchise to London. I've always thought that.
I just hope that Trevor Lawrence is their franchise quarterback, because they've never had one. I mean, they really haven't. I mean, when Mark Brunell's the best quarterback you've had, and when the second best quarterback you had was David Garrard, I mean, you're going to go Leftwich over Garrard? I actually think Garrard played better for him than Leftwich did. Leftwich was the first round pick, but I mean, Garrard ultimately unseated Leftwich. He's the one that went into Pittsburgh, won a road playoff game. I mean, think about that. This franchise has been right.
I'm just saying.
That's true. But think about this. This franchise has been around 30 years. Its best quarterback's Mark Brunell. And name their second best.
Give me week 3 Garner Minshew. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, it's why Jags fans fell in love with him. They haven't had competent play at the position. And when you go out and give them 3 good weeks in a row, they think they got a savior.
And now they have a legit guy that can play the position. And a little bit of talent around him. We'll see. We'll see. If they can double that win total, that's a start. 7 would be remarkable. But the fact of the matter that they still have that they've got a franchise in the first place, to me, is more remarkable than any of it. It really is.
So
sounds like a
sidebar.
Sounds like a FIFA payoff to me somehow, some way.
Yes. It's like, wait a minute, where are we having the World Cup? What's gotten into you? Tagliabue, what did Wayne Weaver promise you? Right.
And you gave them a Super Bowl.
Yeah. And remember, they announced those things 4 or 5 years in advance. So the team was in the league 5 years. And they go, hell, we'll give you a Super Bowl. I know you don't have half the hotel rooms needed. Don't worry about it.
And
We'll
then the
bring in
city
cruise
gets
ships.
crushed for not being able to do all these things in the Super Bowl. The league is the one that should have got crushed because they knew this when they gave them the Super Bowl.
That was the Super Bowl that I went to media days. I slept in the back of a listener's trailer.
Yep, that's right.
Yes, you heard me right.
That you
Me
didn't
and
know.
No. Didn't know that. Well, okay, what lured us there was that there was someone who lived in Naples that said we had a place to stay. I don't know if we stayed with them or we stayed with friends of them nearby on the grounds, but we slept in the back of their trailer. I will say this. They had satellite TV. It was the very first place I ever saw the NFL Network, was in the back of that trailer. They were handing out the Walter Payton Man of the Year. I think they gave it to Warwick Dunn.
Miller and Moulton. Someday coming from the back of a trailer again, I assure you. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when, still 20 minutes away right here on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts.
Oh, it's
or online,
possible.
flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, but I mean, Michael, I think you know what we meant. Okay. You know, we can get to Chicago, Boston, Philly, New York, Houston, Dallas, all direct from Fort Myers. Hell, there's even one a day to Denver. Alaska Airlines even has one flight a day to LA. Right? I mean, you know, Jacksonville to Pensacola, Jacksonville to Fort Lauderdale. Come on, that's not the same thing. We're talking about like traveling.
Yeah,
Also, I have a question. Is tomorrow the high school jamborees Miller time, or are they actually regular season games that count in the standings? Because usually tomorrow's the Jamborees, and the final week of the month, that Friday, are the games that count in the standings.
I'm assuming. I hope you're right.
I got a stat for you guys.
Yeah. No, the alarms are off.
You ready for
What's
the
the stat? Shoot.
So, Orioles first baseman Ryan Mountcastle, in 31 career games against the Blue Jays, he's batting .361 with 13 home runs and 26 RBIs. 31 games.
Sounds like what George Brett did for a career.
I mean,
Jays might want to stop pitching to him.
So these are the kickoff classics. Is that the Jamboree then, Miller time?
Yeah. So I got to admit, if it doesn't count in the standings,
we don't care about NFL preseason. We sure as hell don't care about high school preseason.
Yeah. Also, let's be honest. Early season high school football in the state of Florida, you just hope they don't get lightninged out. I just hope they get the games in.
George Brett bat .390 1 year.
Yes, he did.
It was, in fact, it was right around this time of the year. He was still hitting 400.
1980, I believe.
Because it's been coming up on my today. Was it George Brett hitting 401 at this time? Was on there yesterday or something like that.
Well, he played 117 games, but still.
Yeah, Brett did have injury issues. So, and I think Felipe, either 2 or 3 years before that was when Carew hit 388. So we had two guys take a serious run at it, kind of on top of each other.
Damn.
Everybody talks about the strike and the whole, making a run at Maris's record and where guys were and what have you. The one I missed was Gwynn was hitting 394.
The ultimate contact hitter.
And exactly. Nobody has made a serious run at 400 since Brett, except for Gwynn in 94.
Dude, Trevor Lawrence is good.
We'll see.
We'll see. Who do you think will have a better record, the Lions or the Jaguars?
Lions.
The Lions.
I agree.
Way easier schedule.
Yeah, true. The NFC. It's the AFC.
I'll be very disappointed if the Lions don't get to 7.
Yeah, I think they got to win at least 7.
Well, Mark pointed out.
Come on,
Look
Mark.
at their schedule on top of the fact that they're better than people think. I mean, they actually have a chance to play meaningful games at the end of the season.
Defensive lines. They're going to need Hutchinson's going to need to be a good player. Yeah. Not a great player. He's just got to, because their defensive line's bad.
Think they could talk Sue into finishing it where he started?
Ooh, that'd be nice. All right, we're coming back.
Be interesting.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Thanks for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. A reminder, a week from tomorrow, Chase Elliott coming to the Napa Auto Parts on Boy Scout Drive in Fort Myers. Your best chance to be able to get his autograph, if that is what you desire, is to head to one of the 6 area Napa locations owned by the family of John, Lisa, Kyle, and Justin. One of them operates 4 of the 6 that we mentioned between Port Charlotte, Cape Coral, North Fort Myers Beach, and 2 Fort Myers locations, including obviously the Boy Scout Drive one. Go in, sign up. There are dozens from each store that are going to be selected and given the magic ticket to get you in line and guarantee that you get Chase Elliott's autograph. The rest of you show up, it's going to be good luck. Good luck. Week from tomorrow. We'll be live, by the way, doing our show on location. We haven't done one of those in a while. So if you want to come on out, if you don't get Chase's autograph, you can heckle us.
Or you could get David's autograph. He will be signing autograph from 6 to 10.
David Moulton, that is honorable member of the
of the Monday Night Football entourage.
The Monday Night Football posse.
If you were with us 3 hours ago, I'm in Seattle, so it's a 2:12 a.m. wake-up call. Show starts at 3:01 a.m., and I just happened to flippantly say that I was part of the Monday Night Football entourage. And Mark said, "Oh, entourage, really?" So after the debate as to whether or not that was me officially going third person, which I don't think I've ever done before.
No, you haven't.
But then Mark turned it into our poll question of the day. Which entourage would you most want to be in? It's actually a good question.
Athlete, actor, musician. Musician is winning. Actor's in last. And I actually, I voted musician because I think we'd all think the fun. But if the TV show Entourage, the movie Entourage, leads anything to what the life would be like to be in that entourage, you don't do a whole hell of a lot other than go to great places and party with beautiful people.
Right. It seems like a pretty good gig.
Yeah, I mean, we might be really selling this whole entourage of the actor short. Because someone said earlier, does that make you turtle, David? No, it actually makes you E. You're part of the team. You're not a hanger-on. You're a part. You're not the star, but you're right there in the background doing something.
Preseason football tonight in Seattle, and by the way, what a marquee game! The projected last place Bears taking on the projected last place Seahawks. Whoo-hoo! Joe and Troy in attendance, practicing, not working, practicing. Their debut will be the first Monday Night Football game of the year, regular season style. Back in Seattle, what looks now to be the third revenge game, if you will. Russell Wilson in Seattle will be the last of the three. It looks like because of injury, Flacco for the Jets is going to get a chance to play against the Ravens week 1. And the word is today, Baker Mayfield is going to be announced as the starter. So, there. And Carolina, of course, hosts Cleveland week 1. The NFL.
Good news is you'll probably see the one revenge game where the quarterback with the new team will beat his old team. I don't know in the other ones if we have much of a shot at that. I think Baker's got a shot.
Yeah, I got my money on Carolina right now. Right now. I am betting that opener.
It's at Carolina, too. Yeah, they'll win.
I think the Browns are really going to struggle. I think the weight of everything. Okay, and you already got guys. You got the backup running back who's thinking about himself because he's entering a contract year. And Mark, I just think if they get off to a indifferent start, and with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, they have a chance of getting off to an indifferent start.
Well, the one thing, I don't have any faith in Carolina's offense and their offensive line. The Carolina defense was pretty salty last year. And they spent a lot of draft picks on that side of the ball. For a team that's a bottom third team, the defense is better than that. They had nothing on the offensive side of the ball a year ago.
Speaking of entourages, we were talking about, would you rather be a part of? LeBron's got an entourage.
Yes, he does.
But did you see the extension that he signed yesterday?
I did.
2 years, $97.1 million. It's the max that he can get. And it took him to a place that he hadn't been in a while. He is now, Mark, with that contract on the books, the guy who has earned the most money playing in NBA history in terms of salary. Not endorsements, not off the court, just salary. When this extension plays itself out, LeBron will have been paid $532 million.
Who did he surplace?
Durant, believe it or not, was ahead of him. And remember, Durant's just beginning his 4-year contract extension. So believe it or not, LeBron can get a new contract before Durant can. And LeBron's under contract for 3 years, this and the 2-year extension. Durant's under contract for 4.
Right, and it was a 2-year extension was what he was able to sign because of his age, right? Because of being 38 years old, LeBron was able to sign a 2-year extension, which is the minimum he has to sign. That, of course, will allow him the out when Bronny is in the league to sign with whoever drafts Bronny.
Right. And it's interesting because he could have signed a 1-year deal, and it could have been a 1 year with an option in which the option could have been mutual, the team or LeBron's. And the thought was he was going to sign a 1 year with an option. But the reason why I believe he signed the 2-year deal is there's a 15% trade kicker in the deal. So, let's play this out. He does this year and he does next year. And then Bronny gets drafted and it's not by the Lakers. And LeBron's going to turn and look at Rob Pelinka and go, I'm out of here. I'm not going to play for you ever again. I'm going where Bronny is. So you get what you can, but that's where I'm going. And what does LeBron get out of the deal? Well, let's see, 48.5 million. Add 15% onto it. That's about what, 7 and change. So now all of a sudden he goes to making $56 million a year, and he's playing with his kid.
It's not the same as what I've offered in the David Moulton trade kicker.
You know what, Mark, I thought of is that's kind of like your son Jake wanting you to fly him in for the Chase Elliott event. That's kind of like LeBron's 15% trade kicker right there. Bronny ends up wherever it is, and it's like, hey, I'm going to go be with my son. And by the way, a little something for the effort.
Little something for the effort is right. Boy, oh boy.
All right.
Someone asked the question, who's going to be the first athlete to get $1 billion? Now that LeBron's at $500 million in career earnings. Because with the way basketball salaries in particular have escalated, and look at what Ohtani's going to get in baseball for his next contract, what Soto's going to get for his next contract. I don't know. We'll get to 3/4 pretty quickly.
Well, the NBA salaries here are about to become like European soccer salaries. I mean, guys signing supermax deals right now, supermax deals are getting you into the low 50s. We're going to see here in the next 18 months, supermax deals are going to get players into the mid 60s. They're basically going to make $1 million a game for as little as they're playing nowadays. You think it could be a quarterback? You think Burrow or one of these guys could possibly get a second contract on top of their first $500 million contract?
With the way the cap keeps going up, it's not out of the realm of possibilities. The first $1 billion in salary athlete. It's going to happen one of these days. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
If you own 6 Southwest Florida Napa stores and were a big NASCAR fan, wouldn't you put the two together?
How about bringing Chase Elliott to Fort Myers?
Friday, August 26th, Chase Elliott will sign autographs at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive in Fort Myers beginning at 11 a.m.
The best way to get in line, stop by one of the 6 family-owned Napa Auto Parts stores. Napa Auto Parts, 1820 Boy Scout Road, 1220 Vizcaya Parkway in Cape Coral, 532 Pine Island Road in Fort Myers, 532 Pine Island Road in North Fort Myers, 4175 Palm Beach Boulevard in Fort Myers, and 17284 San Carlos Boulevard on Fort Myers Beach.
And don't forget about the Napa location in Punta Gorda at 1810 Tamiami Trail. Sign up for your chance to meet and get an autograph with Chase Elliott.
Coming Friday, August 26th at the Napa store on Boy Scout Drive starting at 11 a.m. Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Mello, I have only been on Air Aikman, as we jokingly call it, twice, and it was basically the same trip. In the pandemic, with COVID, games got reassigned, and we ended up having a late afternoon Sunday game in Tampa, and then we had to do a 5 o'clock game Monday in Buffalo, and literally the only way with the flights, I mean, even if I blew off the show in the morning, there was almost no way to guarantee getting to Buffalo by kickoff flying out of Tampa. And so they flew actually a bunch of people private, but I jumped on Troy's plane and did the show. We did the game. We jumped back on Troy's plane and flew to Philly because that's where our Thursday night game was going to be. So the funny thing was we were in Philly watching the second half of Monday Night Football. So those two flights on Air Aikman, the only two flights I've had. That was when, by the way, we're standing in line at a plush hotel in Philly. You know, I mean, come on, look at me. Like I have ever stayed at a plush hotel if it wasn't some business putting me up. And Aikman, with a straight face, turns around and says, "Moulton, you ever been to this Four Seasons?" And that's thank you. And I looked right at him and I said, "Are you high?" And Aaron Andrews starts laughing, and everybody, and the people behind the counter are laughing. I go, "Troy." It's like, "Oh, I thought you had an account." Right. Yep. Me and the Four Seasons. Frequent customer.
That's so funny.
Well, I mean, the thought is with Bronny, he's got what? This is coming up, going to be his senior year of high school. And then he'll play the 1 year of college ball. And so that's why the thought is, even though he's under contract with the Lakers for 3 more years, that he'll play 2 and then see where Bronny is. And then that's where he'll go. Well, RCB, it's apparently gotten to the point where Adam Silver is pretty honked about it. And he has said to the Players Association and LeBron and Chris Paul, "Listen, we got to do something about this. Our paying customers have to know that they're going to see you guys. This is ridiculous." So I don't know if they're going to start doing contracts differently based on games played or what. But it seems like this is the first issue that Adam Silver is willing to take on the players about. Felipe, you would love it when I listen to NBA radio, the morning show in particular. They go out of their way to, like, they start talking about the current day players. They will read the number of games they played this past season, and then they will pick a year in like the 90s and just start reading the games played from all the top players that year.
Yeah.
Big Ten signs deal worth over $7 billion.
With?
Everybody. Peacock's getting 8 additional Big Ten games per year on top of Big Ten Saturday night, plus dozens of men's and women's basketball games. Nicole Arbach has a story on The Athletic, David.
David, that's always something that I know your generation has a gripe with about these days stars.
Yeah. Yes. 82 games, and it's now the norm to play 65.
Yeah,
It's 80% of the season.
it's
Are you
terrible.
serious?
The fans
Well,
who
yeah,
travel
plus-
to watch them.
It's
Yeah.
bad for the game.
Nah, tickets are not cheap. Come on.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
It's 22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Some final thoughts, all coming up. I'm in Seattle. Apparently there's preseason football tonight. It's going to be on the 4-letter network. It's going to be the Bears and the Seahawks. And it'll be Steve Levy and Louis Riddick. And, yeah, Joe and Troy will be practicing. Yeah, Laura Rutledge also on the call.
Well, the Big Ten got paid finally, David. Been breaking all over in the last 3 or 4 minutes on Twitter that the Big Ten finally got its deal done with Fox, CBS, NBC, Peacock, FS1. 7 years. And they're saying it's worth between $7 and $8 billion. There's an escalator clause that means the deal could get to $10 billion if the Big Ten's membership increases.
Hold on a second. Increases beyond USC, UCLA?
Correct. Correct.
Gotcha. So 7 years and 7 to 8 billion. So we're looking at 1 to 1.1 billion a year.
In the 7-year deal, Fox gets the championship game 4 times, CBS twice, NBC once. Fox will have it in all of the odd years, 23, 25, 27, 29. CBS will bookend the even years, 2024 and 2028, and NBC will get the game in the middle. Part of it's backloaded, as it says, because CBS is limited on how many Big Ten games it can show in 2023 because it's in the final year of its SEC contract. So just trying to get through all the details because this literally just come out. Peacock's going to get 8 Big Ten football games annually during this on Peacock. And trying to get through the basketball side of this as well for those that care, but Peacock's going to get a lot of men's and women's basketball from the looks of it.
Well, and to me, that's the most interesting part of the deal. Not even ESPN for basketball. I mean, CBS has had a deal with the Big Ten for 25, 30 years now, but it's only for hoops. I mean, most people don't think of it that way, but CBS has been thrilled to show Big Ten hoops on Saturdays and Sundays. And they get their nice little rating, and it's good for both sides, and they go on their merry way. I mean, think about it. For those of you big into college hoops, where has Nance and first Billy Packer and now Grant Hill and whomever, where have they always been on Selection Sunday, live for the Big Ten tournament?
I think there are 2 really interesting things. The basketball is one. The most interesting is there's an escalator clause if the Big Ten expands again. So ACC, look out. That's what I read into that. I don't necessarily think it means 4 teams from out west. And if Notre Dame's not going anywhere, which right now it looks as if they're not, where would the Big Ten go to get 4 more?
All right. Now, remember, the talk was that every team in the Big Ten was going to get $100 million.
Correct.
Now, I'm not in any way slamming this deal, but let's just say it's for 1.1 billion a year. It's a 7-year deal, and we'll say it's for 7.7. If you do the math, that's 70 million a year. So now there's other way to make money. I understand that, but the biggest way is from television revenue. So the talk of 100 million a year, I'm curious, is where does the other 30 million a year come from? And secondly, Mark, you didn't mention anything about a streaming service except Peacock, did you?
Correct.
So they didn't give an Amazon or anybody else just a little something.
The only thing I wonder, David, and I don't think it would cover the whole 30 million. I don't know what the Big Ten network gives each of these schools a year, because this is separate from the Big Ten network deal.
Well, now we're talking.
That's
Now
probably
we're
where
talking.
the money comes from, David.
So, yeah.
I wonder, it'll be interesting to see if in LA you can get the Big Ten network or the Pac-12 network.
Oh, boy. Which is funny.
Which one's bundled?
This is going to be great that you'll be able to get the Big Ten network
And
in
not
Los
watch
Angeles, but you still can't get it in Maryland to watch the Terps.
Right.
That's my favorite. Right.
All right, a little news there. With that going on, that takes us right to this.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
We start in 22. Gene Sorensen at 20 wins the PGA. 37, the first FM radio construction permit is issued to WJTR in Boston, Massachusetts. Today, this is literally what it says, and it's an impossible one, but I had to read it anyhow. Today in 56, Elvis Presley's Hound Dog and Don't Be Cruel reached #1 in the charts. I never knew we could have two songs be #1 simultaneously. But if anybody could do it, David, it would be Elvis.
Got that right.
Today in 59, Branch Rickey resigns as the Pirates CEO to become president of the Continental League. Might have been leaving a year too early for the wrong job.
Yeah, that seems like a bad career decision.
Today in 83, David, the Royals-Yankees game finally ended. That was the Pine Tar game. Hal McRae would strike out and Dan Quisenberry would retire the Yankees in order, not before Billy Martin appealed to every base to make sure George Brett touched all 4 bases. 2000. What?
It was brilliant. It was brilliant. It was A, brilliant to think of it, but B, brilliant that the umpires knew Billy would do something. So they had signed basically an affidavit proving, okay, and they had it in their pocket. When Martin came out to appeal, they literally pulled out, like their version of a subpoena and said, "We gotcha." It was great TV.
2002 at Hazeltine, Rich Beam wins the PGA, 1 ahead of Tiger Woods. And in 2016, Usain Bolt wins the gold medal in the men's 200 for the 3rd consecutive Summer Games at Rio. And it was a year ago that Ohtani becomes the fastest player in Angels team history to reach 40 home runs in a season. I bring it up because he also pitched 8 innings in a 3-1 win. Those born today that are no longer with us: Meriwether Lewis, Big with Clark back in the day, Marge Scott, Roberto Clemente, and Patrick Swayze. Those celebrating birthdays today: Rosalind Carter is 95 years old today. Shady director Roman Polanski is 89. Robert Redford is 86. Martin Mull is 79. He once appeared on Johnny Carson, David, in his suit and talked about he only needed a tan for what he wears to work, and literally had tan lines from the edge of his shirt through his hand, around his neck and his face, and nowhere else. Like he was painted up that way, but it looked as if he went to the beach all day in a suit. One of the funniest things I'd ever seen. Fat Lever, friend of the show, just because his name, is 62 today. Jeremy Shockey is 42. Dan Orlowski is 39. And newest member of the Live Tour, Cameron Smith, is 29 years old today. Oh, soon to be member of the Live Tour, Cameron Smith, is 29 years old today. Did I say that right? And that's Today Was a Day When.
You had me actually thinking Fat Lever was a friend of the show, but then you've mentioned the fat thing, and I was like, oh.
Two endings, if you will, today. Retirements, one forced. It was in 1991 on this date that they staged the coup against Gorbachev. And a year later, Larry Bird, 30 years ago today, retired, which was not long after the Olympic Games ended. You know, that whole dream team thing.
There you go.
Well, I actually have one.
Uh-oh.
I hate to break it to you.
Uh-oh, here it comes.
From Bubble.
The bubble playoffs began today, 2 years ago, 2020. Weird time.
Only seems like 5.
Yeah. That leads us to...
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Fort Myers for the good, where it was a long time ago, quarter century, when Kaylee, Caitlin, and Colton Cervic were all born premature at NICU, and the nurse that cared for him was Candy Pemberton. She was reintroduced to Callie, who was born prematurely in the NICU area and now returns as a nurse in that same area. Pretty cool little story.
Yeah.
For the bad, we go to Kendall, where Miami-Dade College was placed on lockdown because there was a 911 call reporting an armed person on campus riding a bicycle. They said there was a rifle in the man's backpack. That rifle was an umbrella.
Oh, boy.
Come on.
Police found the man with the backpack, detained him, took a look inside the backpack, and say the military-style backpack with the black umbrella sticking out of the side of it was just a misunderstanding.
This isn't Kingsman here.
Hey, I don't blame people for being paranoid these days. Finally, the ugly, we go to Hull, Georgia, where Stephen Fields, 18, was sentenced to 10 years of probation after seeing that a $31,000 check was mistakenly deposited into his bank account. He immediately withdrew $20,000 and then made $5,000 worth of purchases the next day. Spent the money at a car dealership, various stores, and a fast food restaurant. He picked himself up a new BMW convertible with money that wasn't his.
I love the fact he still went fast food.
You know, so when you get a BMW convertible and you're 18.
Right. A BMW convertible. Hey, man, we got to hit the crystal.
Got to get my Pikachu happy meal.
I know I do the right thing. The day comes and I look at that ATM receipt and it says I got $45,000 in my account and I know I only have $4,500. I don't know, man. At 18, Katie barred the door. I'd be going crazy just like he did, and that is the good, the bad, and the ugly. On today, August the 18th, 2022.
I mean, don't you try to keep just a really small amount that, like, in theory, maybe they'll let you have because you're being honest? Like, say, keep $1,000.
Yeah.
You know, you keep $1,000 and you go, hey, man, they had me, I thought I had 4,500 and I took out 100 and, turns out they said I had 45,000. That seems a little excessive.
Well, please, for most, $1,000 at 18 feels like 10K. So.
Right. And then all of a sudden they go, well, hey, where's the 1,000? I don't know. I got 520s here.
It's bank error in your favor, man. I don't know what to tell you. That's what Monopoly said a long time ago. That's what I'm going with. I am happy that they just gave the kid probation, though.
Yeah. 11 games in Major League Baseball today, 6 of them during the day. There's a few that have real meaning. I mean, first of all, Astros, White Sox on the south side, Dodgers, Brewers. Listen, how about the Orioles? Hosted a makeup game against the Cubs. That's right, the Orioles playing meaningful baseball. Red Sox back in action tonight. Mets and Braves complete their 4-game series tonight. Toronto's in the Bronx to face the Yankees. So got a few things going on in baseball today. Got the preseason football game tonight in Seattle. It's on the 4-letter network. Bears and Seahawks. Be interesting if they play Geno Smith at all, because this was supposed to be Drew Lock's game to start and play a half and last chance to win the job, and then he got COVID.
Do you think you will be at the game when it ends?
I hope not. I
know
hope not.
I know what your hopes are.
No, I don't. I think we will end the practice broadcast at the end of the third quarter. No one's told me anything, but it seems, I mean, 2.5 hours into the practice broadcast, we've done enough, right? We can all go beat traffic, right?
I don't know. That's why I'm fascinated, because Lord knows I won't be watching whenever you're done. I'm waiting to hear, I think I might put an over-under up there in my head of when you get out of there. Because I know you'd like to be gone at halftime in a perfect world.
Totally. I do think by the end of the third quarter, I will break out Iverson. I mean, man, we're talking about practice. Not a game, but practice.
Well, and just a little behind the curtain. So the five of you, Joe and Troy, Joe's two guys, you're Troy's guy. The five of you have worked together for a little while now. The four of them even longer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with Fox, you had a floor director. There's another person up in the booth. It's the floor, kind of the person that's running the booth. There's the floor. I believe it's called the floor director. That's a new person tonight, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And there'll probably be a backup because it's ESPN and they have a lot of people there. So there'll be two people in there who have never worked with any of you.
And we're in a secondary booth, which is like half the size of the main booth. So we're going to be, by our standards, like sardines. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. I know that we're staying until halftime because my understanding there's like chicken and vegetables being served at halftime. So I know we'll be, if they've already gone through a food order, I know we're there through the half.
Well, my advice to you is be nice tonight and today. Keep the sarcasm to a dull roar.
Oh, man, it's going to be so hard.
I know. We all eagerly await the report tomorrow morning of how much practice Moulton has to do tonight. We thank all of you for listening. It is a Football Friday tomorrow. Expected to have Pat Kerwin on the show. Talk to you then on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the clutch.
Not a game
Today.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN play of the day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work.